understand that I don't wanna play your game.
The Earth is very flat.
What's going on, everybody? It's Thursday, October 14th, 2021. And yes, this is Brandon, host of Brandon's Show. Hey, I remembered how to use YouTube. How about that? What's going on, everybody? Good to be back. I see we got quite a few people out there. Nice to see. I did miss you guys, believe it or not. And good to see everybody out there. We got Will Gaston and Dover First. Page 42, Sanjay W., NASA recruitment. Don't lie. I did not fail the exam. Come on now. Still in negotiations. AYMB America, Bill G, Ute-Hoo, PJ Cruikshank. And who else we got in here? Let's see. Globe Thrusters says, glad you're back. Oakley has been getting one extra viewer since you've been gone. That's pretty funny. And Mazar Salim. What's up, man? What is going on, guys? And Gordzilla37 says, I have to say it before someone else does. Let's go, Brandon. I know. How about that, man? I see that all over the place now. Like this. Yes. I'm proud of my name now. That is so funny. That was like a Baghdad Bob moment there. The tank coming over the hill behind the Iraqi defense minister. It's just such a blatant deception. It's gotten pretty ridiculous, and I feel bad for anybody who doesn't see through it at this point, because it's so fucking obvious. But yeah, a lot of that going on in the world, just crazy bullshit, getting worse and worse. But I do see some signs people are pushing back, so I'm happy about that. And I thought that was pretty funny that Joe Rogan, of all people, was pushing back on Sanjay Gupta. Not that I'm a big Joe Rogan guy, but it was actually made someone from the press squirm. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. It was yesterday's Joe Rogan Experience, whatever the hell his podcast is named. And he got Sanjay Gupta, the CNN head medical correspondent, on and started asking him questions about you know what, and taking ivermectin, and got him to admit that CNN lies, which is actually quite the feat, because those people probably don't even know they're lying anymore. But that's mass media for you. Anyway, yeah, Rob Skiba, best wishes to his family. So sorry to hear that. That's really, really sad. I didn't know him personally, never met him, never talked to him, but obviously, like all of us, I've seen his videos and appreciated that guy's energy. He seemed like a genuinely good guy, and he did a lot of work, a lot of stuff I enjoyed, and I definitely enjoyed his perspective. So yeah, very sad. Rest in peace, Rob Skiba. Yeah, I don't know anything about the situation or how all that went down, but it sounds like a hard time for his family for sure. But anyway, all right, well, that's a depressing note, and let's get into the show and start talking about the shape of the earth and other shit.
Yeah, snow sticking. It's amazing. It's picturesque. Is that a word?
What's up, guys?
Yo.
What's up, Brandon?
What's going on? Where the fuck you guys been?
Yeah, okay.
We were boycotting.
We all went on hiatus.
You're out of sick days, bro. I already thought you're on. This is your final warning.
I used all my personal days too, huh?
No vacation days, nothing.
Yeah, it's good to see you guys though. Glad to be back. Glad to be back for sure. So what's been going on? I haven't been in any rooms lately. I haven't listened to any flat earth stuff. I've been completely occupied with other stuff. And
did you go through withdrawals? Were you shaking?
No, I felt okay. I was thinking about, while I was gone, that whole experiment that I came up with. I got to do that. I'm talk about that a little bit later, but that's the one thing that's been on my mind. But no, I'm not going back to the globe, just in case anybody was thinking that I was starting to pull a ranty. I have no doubts about the shape of the Earth personally, and I'm pretty confident in my opinion at this point. But anyway, so what's going on? What's the big news besides Rob Skiba, which was sad news?
No, that's terrible. Rob Skiba is the one that put me on because I couldn't understand how a sunset could work on flat Earth, and he showed it with the lens. He's like, "Oh, look, this could happen," and boom, that was it for me.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. He had a lot of good talks. I listened to him a lot when I first got into flat Earth. But I haven't seen much out of him lately. He didn't put out
So what
kind of content I usually watch, but he was a good guy.
I only heard from a little bit of Jaron's show that he was in a coma for 40 days. Like, what was going on?
Yeah, that's crazy. Sounds like he had pneumonia from what I heard. I don't know. I'm just going by what I heard on Jaron's, but it sounds like he was pretty bad when he went to the hospital, when he finally went. I don't know what the whole story is, but pretty nasty stuff. But yeah, I don't know if any of you guys have heard any more details. No. I see Ranty in chat, who is still asking me for the prediction. I told him not to wait for me to give. And don't you have anything better to do? Go take that fucking picture already.
We've determined that it's our fault that he hasn't made that observation yet. Basically our fault.
Yeah, I mean, I did say multiple times, don't wait for me, right? That I wasn't really that interested in making a prediction.
Well, it's not you, Brandon. Basically, it's every single flat earther.
Oh, is that what he's out there ranting about now?
Yeah, that's what he was on a couple weeks ago. That no one would make a prediction.
Okay. Yeah, just take
And
the
Bev
fucking
made a
picture.
prediction, that Ruhif wasn't going to go do it. That was Bev's prediction. And then he had another prediction that if he does go do it, that you barely be able to see the tower, if at all.
I mean, he's just trolling me now. He says, still waiting on your prediction for the auto level. It's been a couple months now. Any chance you could make it happen? Don't you have anything better to do? Honestly, I'm not interested in the prediction. I really am not. That's why I told you not to wait for me. I was interested in talking to either you or Ruhif about why you think there's curvature in any of those pictures, and pointing it out to me because I don't see it. But you guys weren't interested in having an actual discussion about it. You wanted to play little games with predictions. Same old bullshit pseudoscience you guys are always trying to pull. So no, I don't have time to make your stupid predictions. Go take the fucking picture. Anyway, so what else going on? Who do we got in here? Let me see. A little rusty. Chad, Conrad, Effie, self-evidently, Farming Ganja, Effie Walker, Travis, Jeremy, Matrix Media, White's Word, and Branch. Thanks for coming tonight, guys.
Happy to be here.
Cool. So what's new? Any new proofs out there that I missed?
Oh, William Shatner went to space. Well, not really space, according to Neil deGrasse Tyson, but he went to suborbital on Bezos's blue penis.
He did that 60-mile thing, shot up to the Kármán line and came back down.
Yep, just yesterday.
Oh boy. Okay. Cool. Good for him.
Is he still up there, or did he come back in one trip? It's just
No, it's like 10 minutes. Literally 10 minutes.
The guy's 90 years old and he's taking this glorified carnival ride up there. How bad could it actually be, huh? Interesting.
He did not talk about seeing curvature, though.
What did he say? Did he say anything about the shape of the Earth or anything like that, or just?
No, he was really emotional, how it was life-changing, how seeing how thin the atmosphere is, and passing through the blue part of the sky up to where it's dark so quickly, and realizing, that everything's so fragile. But he didn't say anything about, oh, I saw the curve.
Okay. This is pretty clever propaganda, though. Like William Shatner, Captain Kirk, shooting him up in this thing. Pretty nifty. So how many years can we expect them to milk this little gimmick for?
Well, I don't know, since we only had to wait for what was it, about 17 years from when they first did that first suborbital flight, until they actually launched some civilian people. Maybe we'll just have to wait another 17 years for them to do it again.
Every 17 years. Huh? Okay. That's all the public needs to keep buying into all this shit, huh? Just a little bit at a time. Oh, 4-year delay. Oh, 4-year delay. Fucking how pathetic are we as a society? It's just really sad.
Jeranism puts it best. He says NASA is going nowhere since 1958.
Yeah, that was a pretty good documentary he put together a couple of years ago.
I think he. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's okay. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I've got one of the. I think he only had a limited supply of the T-shirts he put out, and I have one of them. NASA going nowhere since 1958.
Be a really interesting exercise, I reckon, if you could. I don't know where the archive or the library would be, but if you could go back the last 25 or 30 years and make a collection, like a dot point list of all the headlines of we're going to go to the moon in 2015, we're going to have people in space by here, and like all the different forward projection timelines that just keep getting kicked out and kicked out and kicked out because of budgetary problems or safety issues, whatever, and just see how many times the dumb public have been promised something and then have the rug pulled out from under it.
Yeah, that would be interesting. I've seen different little infographics with some of that on it, but to see it all together, that would be cool.
I have the answer. It's every time. When it comes to the moon, for sure.
Every day of the week.
Yeah, the moon, which isn't. Why would we go back there? What purpose is there to go back there? There's nothing to do there. Oh, we're gonna go back. Now it's the biggest thing ever. Pretty funny. It's just corruption. Is there any actually institution, not just in this country, but in the world, that isn't completely fucking corrupt? I can't think of one personally. That's something I think about all the time. Like, is there anybody we can believe anymore?
Nope.
Nope. James Richard, 7-month member. Thanks, James. God speaking about the earth. It is as clay turned to the seal, and its garments stand out like pressing the Roman seal to an envelope or scroll. The design is the garments that stand out. It's flat. It is as clay turned to the seal, and its garments stand out. Well, that's interesting. Yeah, that would be a description of something that's flat. I think you're right, James. You guys are quiet. Branch, what's going on, man? No Branch.
Yeah,
Hey,
we're all waiting for Rumpus to prove the Earth is a globe.
Did he go out and do his thing? Did I miss that?
No, they went out a couple weeks ago, and there's some photographs circulating around, but they were still just setting up. And I think last weekend the weather was crappy, so maybe this weekend.
Okay. I did see a picture. It looked like Bev and crew were out there trolling them when they're doing their thing.
Yeah.
Trolling might not be the right word. No offense on the level crew. I didn't mean any offense by that, but saw them out there taking pictures. They would see it as trolling for sure. What's going on in down in Australia? White's Word and FE. I keep seeing things, but I'm only getting bits and pieces of the news up here. It sounds like it's getting pretty crazy down there.
Yeah, well, yeah, it is, and it's weird because where me and Whites are, it's pretty tame and pretty almost life as usual, other than stupid mask requirements and a couple of other things. But in Victoria and New South Wales, it's like Australia's got two different realities going on at the moment. Those two states are almost under martial law in some circumstances, whereas literally the rest of the country is relatively okay, shall I say? But yeah, it's weird. There's a lot of really heavy-handed government and police action going on in Victoria and New South Wales.
I saw a video of like in the street there was a bunch of protesters pushing cops down.
Yeah,
like
you probably reverse that situation and you're closer to the truth.
Okay, all right.
There's been
I see.
a lot. There's a lot of yeah. I mean, in any protest group, there's always a fringe bunch of ratbags who will make the whole thing look bad, and they're probably paid to be there. But there's just a ton of footage of police overreach and thuggery.
Am I alone in thinking that violence is not always a bad thing? Like, I understand that, like, sometimes you want a peaceful protest, but if you have a tyrannical government that's trying to force you to do things against your will, like inject yourself with chemicals, I think violence is warranted at that point to stop from doing that.
Pitchfork, Bob. Pick up a pitchfork. I'm with you.
Well, I don't live there, so me picking up the pitchfork went out. I'm just saying, like, to say that they're automatically rat bags, maybe they're just fearful for their life and they're literally trying to defend themselves.
Yeah, no, but hang on, no, but what I'm telling you, some of the people are just paid agitators. I know some people that have been involved in these protests, and they are genuinely, they're just out trying to get some presence and some publicity, shall I say, just to make everyone aware, the world aware, and the rest of Australia aware what's going on. Now,
Okay.
I agree. There is, yes, there is justification for physical uprising sometimes, I think, but some of what you've perhaps seen is not indicative of the motivation behind the action. Some of them I think are just there to create a headline.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do that here.
So here's just an example. There's a bunch of, this is what's going on in Victoria. There were a bunch of healthcare workers, nurses basically, who went to a public park maybe 2 weeks ago, and they all sat 3 meters apart with masks on, just holding little banners. So, and what they were there to do was not be anti-vaccination or anti-anything else, but just to say people should have freedom of choice. One of the nurses said that she worked in 3 different vaccination clinics. She said, I am vaccinated myself. I'm not anti-vaccination. But she said 90% of the people that I am dealing with are being vaccinated, not because they care about the virus, but because they want to be able to travel. They want to be able to go back to the pub to have a meal. They want to be able to gather with their friends. So she's saying that's not okay, that people are getting a vaccine to retain their personal freedom as opposed to getting the vaccine because they're worried about the disease. So these nurses were out there just having silent, peaceful protest, and a bus load of basically riot police turned up to move them on. A bus load to move on 50 nurses. That's what's going on in Victoria at the moment.
That's insane.
It is insane, Brandon. It is absolutely insane. But that is what's happening. Now, you haven't seen that footage. You've seen the other footage where it makes the protesting people look like crazies.
Of course.
I have seen like the there's been reports of them basically like starting construction on these I don't know, like barracks or whatever, and they plan on the construction being finished in like 2024 for them to send people who are supposedly infected or something like that.
Yeah. Victoria and Queensland are both building some kind of isolation facilities. You know, we're probably not. The details are a bit sketchy as to what they're ultimately going to be used for, but
but just think about that time scale. The fact that they don't plan on them even being completed until about 3 years from now. That's how far ahead they plan on pushing whatever this is that they're trying to push. Really?
Yeah. Well, they're
It's the
expecting
decade
it
of
to still be
vaccines.
happening.
Say that again. Oh, somebody said something. I didn't quite catch it.
Yeah, sorry, I did. Trying to get ready for school. It's the decade of vaccines. This is not going to let up until 2030. So you've got to fight the good fight until then, unfortunately, or hope some of these politicians or some military folk or some good police or something bloody stand up. Otherwise, it's in for the long haul.
Yeah, at this point,
Brandon,
this isn't even about whether or not it's going to protect me from this supposed illness anymore. This is about my personal sovereignty and liberty over my own fucking body and medical choices.
Very true, mate. In the Northern Territory, I've just seen the Premier here in the Northern Territory of Australia basically say that every citizen has until the 13th of November to at least have their first jab, or there'll be a $5,000 fine and no work.
Oh,
Scary shit.
Yeah, they're making us choose between, the livelihood of our families, just complete financial ruin, or trusting them and doing what they say. It's a tough choice. A lot of people are going to give in.
Back in January of 2020, Zero Hedge was reporting about how this thing had escaped from the lab in Wuhan, and all that was just labeled crazy conspiracy theory, and he got suspended from Twitter for a while for reporting on that. And they've been calling everybody crazy, and now I read the story in the New York Times the other day. It's just basically confirming everything that they were saying almost 2 years ago.
Right. It takes them like 6 to 12 months, and then you'll start hearing about it on the mass media, and they act like they never villainized people who were talking about the subject. That happens over and over, and it was really obvious with that stuff. Yeah, it's just despicable. It's disgusting. The propaganda is just disgusting. How can you sit there on national television or with an audience that big and just tell abject lies and demonize people who are putting out good information? What kind of a person does that? What makes somebody do that besides money, obviously? But I just don't know how you can live with yourself.
That's what I'm saying. It's always about the money. Listen, did you guys hear about the Pandora Papers that came out?
Yeah, you sent me something. That sounds like that was a treasure trove.
Yeah, bro. It's supposed to be a 12 million page document or some shit on all the elites do with all their money and shit, how they hide it, what they're doing with it. They're real, like, it's crazy. Follow the money. Anyways,
was going to
You
say, if
guys
you think
done with
about what
that, or-
Whites was saying, what Whites was saying a minute ago about the Northern Territory. Now we've all heard the thing. Oh, we want 80% vaccination. Herd immunity and all that crap. So that was the beginning of the thin end of the wedge. Then they wanted to start vaccinating younger people, 16-year-olds down to 12-year-olds. So that increases the percentage of the population of the 80%, because historically, in any statistics, 80% has or 60%, whatever, has always applied to adults, not to children. So they've now increased the size of the pool that they want the 80% done. And now this particular territory of Australia is saying 100%. So, or mandating that it's 100%, or you're going to get a $5,000 fine. See, what people don't get with how these guys operate, it is always a thin end of a wedge. And whether driving the wedge in takes 3 weeks or 30 years, they never take a step back. Everything just gets worse and worse and more imposing and more overbearing, and you lose more and more of your sovereignty and your freedom.
Well,
that's just how it works.
The people that are running the show, their ultimate goal is control. And I don't think the amount they want will never end. So, yeah, they're going to always be trying to get more and more control, more power, more control, more money, more power, more control.
Yeah, and you give them that inch. See, this isn't so much about what's immediately at hand. It's about giving him an inch. It's the boiling of the frog, right? They get you to give up on your morals or your convictions just a little tiny bit at a time. And then before you know it, we're fucking living in a totalitarian state where everything's controlled. And we're getting there quickly, by the way. The rate of acceleration over the last maybe 10, 15 years, and especially recently, has been pretty mind-blowing to me. The things that we are putting up with now that we would have laughed at 15
Just
years
laughed
ago.
at, 100%. Just laughed at it. 20 years ago, if you'd gone back and told yourself 20 years ago this is what it's going to be, you would laugh. You'd think, no way in the world.
Yep, exactly.
Listen, I got some shit with a horizontal pipe and some water after when you guys are done with this. So,
Oh, we can move on. Let me read this from James Richard. Can a 7-month member be unmuted? Shout out to Brandon. Give him a super chat. Thanks, James. Yeah, I'll unmute you. Just, I think your mic was open. I tried to a second ago.
Yep.
Welcome back, Brandon.
Thanks, Rob. What's going on, man?
yo, fuck that welcome back shit. This guy shouldn't have been gone in the first place. He had no sick days left, nothing. These are unexcused.
We all need a vacation sometimes.
No, he already
Especially
had one.
from these crazy people, myself included.
Thanks, Rob. So Jeremy, you got some flat Earth shit, huh? What do you got?
Yeah, listen, if you got a pipe, we got a pipe, right? A horizontal pipe. You make it level in the middle, but then it's horizontal going out. You know what I mean? Because we make a horizontal pipe. It's not curving or anything. It's straight horizontal. If you tilt that shit any degree, the tiniest little teeny tiniest fraction of a degree downward on one side, and you start pouring water in the middle, it's an open pipe, half pipe shit. You start pouring water in the middle, which way is the water going to flow?
If it's horizontal?
No, we tilted it the teeniest, tiniest degree down from horizontal.
Oh, it's going to
Like
flow,
a fraction of a fraction of a degree.
A little teeny tiny fraction of a degree, yeah. It's going to go down, right?
Yeah, it's going to flow down, yeah.
Yeah. What's that tell you about water?
That it always finds its level?
That if water's not horizontal, it's going to flow down.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we know how water flows.
I came up with that over. Well, I mean, I've never heard no one say the shit like I said it.
Isn't it sad that you have to specify? You have to specify which horizontal you mean. Like you have to spell it out. Like straight. I don't mean curved. I mean horizontal.
Oh yeah,
it's flat.
I was throwing this at him for like 3-4 days about a week ago.
I realize the conversation that we're having is about the shape of the Earth, right? these guys are fundamental zealots. They have to hold on to it.
Right.
So, I mean, if water's not horizontal, this is just a fact of reality. If water's not horizontal, it's going to flow in a downward direction. Now, you can say, what about forces this, forces... All the forces that are acting on the water in my pipe are acting on all the rest of the water everywhere. Horizontal, if it's not horizontal, it's going to flow down until it gets horizontal. We know this. That's not even like a guess or anything.
If you had a horizontal pipe that was long enough,
how long is it got to be?
we were on a ball Earth, the water would move towards the center, splash over the top in the center, right?
Pool in the middle. If you had a long enough pipe, yeah, that's what they say, which is fucking ridiculous. But yeah.
There's no evidence of that, by the way. There's none whatsoever.
Yeah, we do have evidence that if what pipe's not horizontal, it's going to flow in a downward direction. That is evident.
We have evidence of that.
For the simple reason we don't have no horizontal pipe.
Tight.
Miles long.
I don't care what reason we don't have the evidence.
That's the reason. The reason.
I don't care what the reason is. Would you agree that we don't have any evidence? Yeah.
We have evidence for our thing.
What do you mean evidence?
You guys have no evidence.
We don't have such pipe. Nobody make horizontal pipes.
That's fine. That's your problem. We have evidence for ours.
For what?
If you have a horizontal pipe leveled in the middle.
But you don't.
We can do that. I've done this.
You can. You can.
I've done this.
We can.
Yes. I've done this. What do you mean I can't? I've done this.
When have you done this? When have you done it?
I've made a horizontal pipe and poured water in the middle of it. And you know which end it always comes out of? The part that's pitched. If you pitch it down a little bit, it'll go the direction of down. As in if it's not horizontal, it's going to flow in a downward direction.
Short pipe, Jimmy.
Well, how long does it got to be, Chike?
I don't know. Long enough.
It's long enough.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is long enough. Well, who are you? The arbiter of pipe length?
He says it's long enough. Then he says, "No, it's not."
Why isn't it long enough?
He doesn't know how long the pipe.
How long does it got to be? Why isn't it long
Your
enough?
thing works.
Why are you arguing with a troll? Why are you arguing with a troll? He's not here for truth.
He's not just a troll. He's like mentally retarded or something.
This isn't a good start.
How much
Jake,
water
you're not off to a good start, bud.
No, you not, because how much water did you put there?
You only need to put a little... What do you mean, how much
you
water?
put it just tiny bit of water. Like
very
small
you keep dripping it in. Yeah, you keep dripping it in. Drop by drop.
A very small droplet, it will not move at all.
You keep putting one drop at a time. You keep putting one drop at a time in, and then you're going to see which way.
One drop at a time amounts to an ocean.
What?
One drop at a time. After some time, it amounts to an ocean.
Okay, but in the meantime, we're going to see. In the meantime, before it's an ocean, we're going to see the water. Guess which end it's going to be? The pipe, the one that's pitched from horizontal. That end.
Even if it will remain horizontal, the water will pour eventually. Why?
What?
Even if
I just want to know where our level is.
Just I told you where eye level is, you dumbass.
Ah, shit.
So Sean G's going to settle the matter. He's going to build a 400-meter water level, and then he's going to use an auto level to prove that the water level is actually level, which means that it's curved.
Wait, so what's he going to do? He's going to build a 400-meter water level?
Water level, yes. And then he's going to look from one end of the water level to the other end of the water level with an auto level, and he expects to see drop because the water level, if it is in fact level, means it's curved.
Well, isn't 400 meters? Did you say feet or meters? I think that's out of working range for an auto level.
1,200 feet.
That's not stopping him. 400 meters, pshaw. He thinks that he'll be within an accuracy range.
Like that?
He says he lives on an airport, and so he has the space, I guess.
Huh.
To have a 400-meter run.
Who lives in the airport? That's some weirdo shit.
Some weirdo. Nice.
He lives in an
airport.
Lives in
an airport? Yeah. Who the fuck
he lives in a hangar.
That doesn't make it
the
better.
Hangar's on an airport.
Yeah, you said it like You said it like, well, he lives in a hangar. Like that makes it worse.
He's an AI. That's what you're telling us, is that he is an AI housed in a hangar on a military base. He's not a real person.
Let's say he does this and he does his 400-meter water level, and he looks through his auto level, and the furthest one appears to be lower than the front one. What exactly is that going to prove?
That he's out of accurate working range for an auto level.
Earth curve. No, Earth curve.
Oh, my bad. Earth curve. Yeah, Earth curve.
Obviously. Duh, Jeremy.
My bad. I don't know what I was saying.
Personally, I don't think that's going to prove shit.
It's going to prove what we're all supposed to know.
Listen,
level is curved.
Posho can't even prove that. Posho can't even prove that Will Smith's not Barack Obama. They're not going to ever be able to prove Earth's a globe to me if you can't prove that.
That should be pretty easy to prove.
I mean, Posho said he's done it, but I mean, I know Pete's not convinced. So, I mean, where do we go from there?
Hold on, let's see if we can resolve this one right now, because this has been a
I'm not
long-standing.
convinced. I said it would. I said, like, shouldn't this be an easy thing? Just find one day where Obama's in like Afghanistan or Iraq. I think Posho did though, but I don't know. Pete had a swaying argument against that.
Not only is Pete not convinced, Pete thinks Kosho is on the fence.
Well, Kosho's actually Bill Clinton. So that's my.
He said Kosho can't prove he's not Bill Clinton.
Well, I hate to tell you, Pete. How would you explain this one? Is this CGI here? Because this does look like the two of them in the same room. I'm not sharing my screen. I don't think I can get with you on this one, Pete.
I'm just saying, Kosho can't prove that this isn't the case. So, I mean, if he did his poor job of it, and he's never going to be able to prove. You know, these guys say they can't prove anything. So why are you trying to prove something?
Yeah, good point. Now,
I have literally anything in reality.
Pete, remember when I said I was going to get you that video I couldn't find? This is the one.
There you go.
Come on, Pete. Time to pay the piper or whatever they call this. That's about to happen.
See, that's what we do here. We debunk conspiracies. We're skeptics.
That's a fake Obama.
It could be. Yeah, I guess so. I guess
it's
you can make some
double. I think that was
Where is
Pete here? Pete's here, isn't he? I swear I heard Pete Shea.
No.
I don't think I've heard him today.
He was in. I can go get him. Can I go get him?
No, please don't. Please.
Don't get him. Come on, this is the video he wanted me to find.
Then you go somewhere else with him and don't tell him the show is
okay, fine. I understand. I don't want.
We recorded the show for posterity. He'll be able to view it. He'll probably be in here any minute.
Brandon, can you link me that video, please?
Yeah, sure.
I told Pete I'd get it.
Before this becomes the Pete Shea Destroys Everything show.
I'm not going to bring him over. Thank you, though, Brandon.
He's been behaving fairly well in Geos. I mean, Demox has been behaving.
Yeah, because as I understand it, Geo kept him in check, right?
Unlike I got shit under control.
Unlike here.
Was that a shot at me, Chikey?
That's fucked up, Chike.
No, it's your moderator. You don't hear, but
I'm the best moderator in the
everything.
fucking
When
world.
you hear, you mute
Hey,
it.
if we had a moderator here worth his salt, Chikey wouldn't be allowed into conversations ever again. Okay? So be happy we don't have decent moderators around here.
Yeah, you're
I
welcome,
was going to say Geos is probably low key just because Chike's not there.
Nobody invite him.
No, I was invited.
I've been missing you, Chike. I will say that.
I was invited, just didn't want to go there.
Why? You're scared. Because you're scared. We know.
I'm scared of what?
Scared of the flat Earth truth.
Truth, yeah.
We wreck the globe every day over there. it's embarrassing for you guys. Honestly, I feel kind of embarrassed
For you guys, which guys?
Globers, you show.
Okay, all right. Let's not feed the troll anymore. I was thinking about something that I want you guys to think about. So they put like astronauts, people who are going to be astronauts allegedly, in that like that fair ride thing that spins them to like be like, yo, can you handle these G forces or whatever, right? To prepare them, right? Okay. But I was thinking about, they always argue the concept of this conservation of momentum prevents you from feeling like traveling at speed, right? So whenever the rocket is going up at the speeds that they say it's going up, they shouldn't have to deal with the G forces in the way that they say they do. Now, I understand that it's accelerating, and so they'll say, oh, well, the acceleration, they'll feel the G's, whatever. Okay, but that doesn't actually work if their conservation of momentum thing is what they say it is. Because as it's accelerating, you are being moved at the speed that the vehicle is being moved at, okay? And each moment that it's moving, accelerating, your speed is also accelerating, which means, so let's say you're up to 50 knots at whatever time you are throughout the launch. Anything after the 50 knots, you're already going 50 knots, or not knots, G forces or whatever, however fast it is that you're going, however they measure the speed, however many G's it is, okay? You're going that, plus it's still accelerating. But you're already going whatever speed that was the moment before. So it's only ever really 0 plus whatever it is in the moment, and then the next moment it is now back to 0 because you're already moving that speed plus whatever it's adding on top of it, and then it resets to 0 in the next moment. Because the conservation of momentum, you are being moved up to that speed. It can only ever be 0 plus.
Bob, I think we're gonna need a diagram for this, man. This is a lot. That was a lot to handle. You said a lot of words just now.
He's right, Bob. I started thinking about other stuff about 15 seconds.
No,
I'll tell you a funny story,
that's why it doesn't matter if you're already at 5,000 miles per hour and you're still accelerating at xg, you feel the same g. It doesn't matter what speed you are.
The argument they present is RPMs.
I guess let me try and explain it like this. If you are going 60 miles per hour and you accelerate to 61 miles per hour, it is like in a car. If you're just driving around a car and you go from 60 to 61, that's not going to feel the same as if you are at 1 mile per hour and accelerate to 61 miles per hour, right?
Yeah,
we all agree that it's
the difference here is a linear motion.
What was that?
Excuse my low volume.
What rate?
No, the difference here is that if you're going straight or if you're going curved.
Hello?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Oh
my internet crap out.
Everyone can hear me, right?
We can hear you, Bob.
I hear you.
But I don't think. Yeah, maybe you got somebody muted.
I can hear you now. Here, let me check. Do I have somebody else muted? Who was talking?
I think it was Riggs.
I muted. Check Riggs.
No, I can hear you.
Oh
Riggs.
yeah. Okay, here. I had Riggs. There we go.
All right.
I got you muted.
Yeah, the difference here in this argument is the difference between going straight and going in a curve. Because then what you're doing is you're fighting the centrifugal force.
Right. No, I understood that. But that's what they do whenever they put them on the fair ride at the NASA or whatever.
They call it the gravitron. Yeah.
Right. I'm aware that's what they're testing there. That's different than what they would feel on the rocket. I understand that. Obviously, it would have to be because in the rocket they're allegedly going straight up or whatever, and in that thing they're being spun around in circles.
Well, I'm commenting on your initial example of the G-forces experiment, where they're basically in a capsule and they're spun. I'm pretty sure that they have an increase of speed throughout that test, though, and then they decline it. But it doesn't matter. It's still centrifugal force.
But what I'm saying is that they shouldn't need to be tested at high G's like that, because the way they indicate that the conservation of momentum works, they should only ever feel several G's at once, at most. Because once you're up to a certain speed, you're at that speed, and anything after that speed is just 0 plus. So it's however.
I agree to some extent.
1 second.
But there is a great acceleration at some point where they need to know if someone can withstand a certain measurement without passing out or throwing up or whatever.
That's their claim.
We ran the numbers.
Happen in a straight line.
We ran the numbers for like the space shuttle to reach like 17,000 miles in 8 minutes, and you don't need to accelerate more than like 3 Gs.
Yeah, I've seen that before too.
Which is still a lot,
Yeah, but the aborts, sometimes on the aborts you felt more Gs.
On the aborts, what do you mean, when they have to ditch the rocket? What are you talking about?
Yeah, when the guy launched, remember a few years ago, one of the American astronauts was there launching out of Russia, and they had a problem with the lower stage, and they aborted it, and they had an entry that was ballistic, and he got up to like, I want to say 9 Gs. It's at least.
Oh shit! What happened to him?
Nothing. He was prepared for it. 9 Gs is not a problem, especially when you're lying back.
Okay, so to try, let's go back to my other example. You're driving around a vehicle, okay? If you accelerate from 1 mile per hour to 61 miles per hour, that's an and let's say you do it in 1 second. That's an acceleration of 60 miles per hour in 1 second, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. If you are driving around at 60 miles per hour, as far as what you're going to feel, according to them, should be 60 miles per hour is now your new zero, because according to them, you can't feel 60 miles per hour. So it's your new zero, and accelerating to 61 miles per hour in 1 second, 61 miles per hour in 1 second, is only an acceleration feel of 1 mile per hour in a second, right?
Why 1?
Because 60 is your new zero. According to the ballers, you can't feel 60 miles per hour if you're already moving at 60 miles per hour constantly.
But
you
why
won't
did
feel
you
it, according to them.
Why did you change the acceleration? Now you accelerate from 60, which is your 0, to 180 in 1 second.
Wait, what? No.
Why no? Why did you change the acceleration?
Example. That's fine. I'm using an example. In the example, at both times you're accelerating to 61 miles per hour. All we're talking about is what is your starting point in each thing. In one example, your starting point is 1 mile per hour. In another example, your starting point is 60 miles per hour. So in one, there's a difference of 60 within 1 second. In the other, there's a difference of 1 in 1 second. Those should feel different. What do you mean, no?
No. Look, if you're accelerating in 60 miles per hour per second, yes, from the 0 to 1, you go to 0, you go to 60. From 1 to 2, you go to 120 to 100.
That's not what I said. No, Chike, you're not understanding what I'm telling you. You're going off on a different subject. I'm not saying you're always accelerating 60 miles per hour in 1 second. All I'm saying is, in one example, you go from 1 mile per hour to 61 miles per hour in 1 second, okay? In the other example, you go from 60 miles per hour to 61 miles per hour in 1 second. In both examples, you're accelerating, and all of the acceleration takes place in 1 second. The only difference is the magnitude of the acceleration in that 1 second.
Yeah, so.
Okay, so the point is, those two different magnitudes of acceleration within 1 second should both feel different.
Yeah, but that's not how a rocket works, does it?
Yeah, no shit. One you're going 60 miles per second. The other one you're accelerating 1 mile per second.
Right. So it would feel right. So when you're
No.
when they're on the rocket,
No,
and they're
they have a
accelerating,
constant force
every
applied to
moment
them,
of
and actually
time,
their acceleration increases.
every moment of time while they're on the rocket, however long you want to set the moments in, whether you want that to be every 1 second or every 5 seconds or whatever, they're constantly creating new zeros according to your conservation of momentum.
Yeah,
because your
but
zero is constantly going up with the acceleration of the rocket, which means they should never feel more than several miles per hour of acceleration.
Why?
Miles, acceleration isn't measured in miles per hour. Sorry.
Can I ask a quick question? Because I'm not sure what this has to do with their argument for conservation of momentum, because they use it for things that aren't attached to the rotating or moving surface, right? Like planes and helicopters. So is that really, are you really arguing against what
Do you
they
think
say
the
about?
rocket is attached to the Earth?
No, but the person in it is, in the rocket, they're accelerating together. So that's not really comparable to how they use the conservation of momentum argument.
Yes. Okay. Yes, it is. They make the argument that you can't feel the movement of the vehicle you're in because of the conservation of momentum.
Right.
They keep making that argument.
Right.
That
You're
is
right.
an argument they make.
Well, it is, but their main argument is that's why helicopters, that's why the ground doesn't move beneath them, is because the helicopters are conserving the
Right.
momentum.
I don't care what their main argument. All I'm saying is that this part of their argument doesn't seem to line up logically with what they say they have to prepare an astronaut for on the rocket.
Yeah, let's see what the rocket does. Rocket has an engine that it has a thrust. Let's say, I don't know, 1,000,000 pounds of thrust.
Okay.
The rocket has a mass and it accelerates. It doesn't accelerate less the second, it accelerates more the second because it lost mass, and the same force needs to accelerate less mass. So it accelerates more. Actually, not less, like you say, from 60 to 61, but to 60 to 130 and not 120, right?
Right, I get that. The vehicle thing was just.
So they need to be prepared for it.
I wasn't saying that was actual numbers for the rocket or anything.
The G they need to be prepared for is the G that the engine will create. That's
okay,
all.
so let's say, like, how fast is the rocket going? Like when it first initially takes off, what's its speed?
0.
Well, it can't be 0 if it's taking off. Otherwise, it wouldn't be taking off.
Well, it was 0.
If it's 0, then it's not taking off. It's sitting there.
Yeah, it's 0 times 0, and then it's more
It can't
times
be 0 because
1
otherwise,
second.
if it's sitting there, it's not taking off.
That's correct. It's sitting there before it launches off. It's sitting there. It's at 0 speed.
Okay, I didn't say before it launches off. I said when it's taking off.
Okay.
When does it take off?
0.001 miles per hour. How about that?
Okay. And then in the next second, how fast is it going?
1 microsecond after it began moving. How far do you think it moved?
It doesn't matter. We'll just say we'll take it
does.
in 1 second. In 1 second, then 1 second after it starts moving. Now, how fast is it going?
I don't know. What's the acceleration?
I don't know. I'm not sure what the acceleration is.
These guys don't know. You act like one of these guys.
No, but I don't know what the
You guys are an
acceleration
actual
of the
paid
rocket
NASA
is.
shows.
You think I have the entire speed profile?
What kind of paid
rocket
NASA
number?
show are you if you don't have this information?
No, sorry, not my department.
I don't think
That's the rocket
the
guys.
entire profile matters. It's you guys that seem to think that if we don't use the exact numbers of the rocket, that somehow the question is not worth talking about or something. I don't know why you guys seem to be acting like that. I don't care if we use the real numbers or not. We can use fake numbers. That's fine with me. Because the point still stands. Every second, and we'll just say, and you can use the time scale that you want, every section of time that they are accelerating forward, they are resetting to 0 as far as feeling acceleration because of the argument they make about us not being able to detect movement of the thing that we're in because of conservation of momentum. every second or every section of time, we are setting a new zero for what we feel acceleration from.
Okay, you explain calculus. No big deal.
I mean, you could technically break it down to less than a second, tenths and fractions and millionths of seconds.
Right. So there shouldn't need to be this alleged training in these extreme G-forces that don't actually match the same ones they would feel in rocket. Because again, remember, the fair ride is going in a circle and is a different kind versus the straight one that they claim we wouldn't be able to feel unless it was accelerating.
Yeah, and how much G-forces they need to be ready for? What is the maximum G-force they should be feeling?
Yeah. Exactly.
But when you're in a car and somebody, hammers on the gas, we feel it.
Yeah, you feel it.
So I mean, imagine a car that's accelerating way faster than like a Corvette or something.
Yeah.
Whatever, Lambo.
You feel it, don't you?
Airplane. Why can't?
Yeah, so why wouldn't they feel it in a rocket?
Jeremy, don't misunderstand my argument. I'm not saying that they shouldn't feel it according to the way I see the world. They absolutely should feel that. I don't argue that you can't feel or detect motion when you're inside of a vehicle. I don't make that argument at all. They do.
So you don't understand how we measure acceleration then? Is that the problem?
According to them, every second that you're accelerating, you should be resetting to zero what you feel of the acceleration, and therefore you should only ever feel a certain maximum of acceleration and never more than that because you're resetting to zero. Whatever amount of time that our bodies can detect would be the limit.
What he's trying to do here is calculus, but he doesn't understand it.
What about if you were going, say, I don't know, 15 times, if the Earth was spinning 15 times as fast as it is right now, would we feel it then?
Would we feel it? We might.
Yeah.
If we evolved on the Earth that was spinning 15 times faster.
50 times, we hardly had the gravity.
15, 1 5.
15, yes, that's about the orbital speed we need. No, close to no gravity at the equator.
Really? Okay.
Wait.
Do they feel G-forces on the ISS?
No.
Nope.
Except when they're changing levels.
Changing levels.
Well, you have to boost the orbit every once in a while.
Wait, did Chaiki just make the argument that the centrifugal force of the Earth spinning is somehow basically perfectly counteracted by gravity all around the Earth, and that's why we don't fly off or feel it?
No. If we spun at 16 times
15 times faster. Listen, open your ears, dumbass.
Yeah, I heard what he said. It sounds like what he's saying is that if it went faster, that there would be little to no gravity at the equator, which would imply that it is centrifugal force that is keeping us, that is fighting the gravity.
That's correct.
It's fighting against gravity, and gravity is here against the centrifugal force.
Centrifugal force fights the gravity. That's correct. It's a very minor effect.
That's what the silent zero was supposed to measure, right? What about his experiment? Test.
I don't know. He's not here.
They found this out during the Alaskan gold rush, is what I heard. When some people was stealing gold from every little shipment.
What?
People, during the Alaskan gold rush, they were shipping gold back from, I don't know, the Alaska to Sacramento, which was the old gold rush place, and they would weigh it when it left and weigh it when it arrived, and it weighed less when it arrived. So they thought someone was stealing from a little bit every time.
This sounds like a made up fucking story. You got
Look it up. Look it up. Look it up. It's not.
All right.
Hey, Google.
Right?
Yeah.
All right.
The whole idea that that's how they got people to move to California at the time and to move out there because there was this gold rush. It's all very
Not about
suspect.
the Alaskan gold rush, but that's okay.
Oh,
something I was
the whole
I was thinking about,
1949er the 49ers thing. You kind of have your doubts about that, Farming Ganja?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, who knows what fucking happened in the past? The first thing that the communists did when not the first thing, but after they took over Russia was try to destroy any previous history of the country, wipe everything out, burn all the old books, get rid of it all, make everybody forget what happened before. How do we know that didn't happen on a worldwide basis? Because there have been organizations that have basically controlled enough of the world in the past to pull something like that off, I think. Especially when there's no internet, no written books. They control all the books and shit. How hard would that have been in 1800s? Or earlier?
Or even before that, yeah.
Yeah.
The farther back you go, the easier it would have been.
Well, let's not be under the false impression that libraries hundreds of years ago were like our public libraries now. It was for the upper echelon, right? So, when the printing press came out and the Bible was printed, the Bible was almost printed in a very ornate. I mean, a lot of the pages were ornately decorated, and they were even chained to the pulpit. Because that was the only copy. But if you think about even the library at Alexandria, it's not like people were going there on a daily basis to read books. That was for the upper echelon.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. I mean, they kind of controlled all that shit at different points in history. It's not like everybody had a bookshelf full of books, right? At least that's my understanding. I just don't think it'd be that hard for them to wipe everything out, and you start teaching another thing, a different way of thinking about or alternative history, one generation. That's enough, right? 1 or 2 generations. People are gonna fucking forget, especially if they weren't there to know the difference. They didn't think about it. You go to school, they teach you what's what about the world, right? That's the whole idea. What if they started teaching you bullshit? They start teaching your kids bullshit. How many generations is it going to take before nobody remembers the truth anymore?
Under 1.
Yeah, good point.
They've already demonstrated that in the last year.
No doubt, dude. No doubt.
There's kids that don't even know what a face looks like.
What a face looks like?
Yeah.
How's that work? Tell me, what's that about?
Making everybody walk around wearing masks.
Oh my God, that's depressing, man.
It's worse than depressing. It's a total destructive humanity.
Yeah, I didn't even think about the psychological effect on, the children who were born into this shit.
However, are all those children seeing their parents with no masks at home and then wondering why when we go out we have to put masks on?
I'm sure. They're going to think that's normal, right?
The new normal.
Oh my God, I hate that phrase too. That's creepy as fuck.
That's why I don't
all these
walk around wearing a
slogans they
mask.
have are creepy as fuck.
Build back better.
Wow. Yep. Earth is life. $5. Welcome back, Brandon. Any thoughts on the Qantas flight? I don't know what he's referring to. I must have missed something. You'll have to tell me what you're talking about.
Accuracy of his auto level.
They had a flight from Argentina to Australia, like a 17-hour flight. That was all tracked on Flight Tracker, and it's supposed to be impossible on the AE map.
I'll have to check that out. I'm
Well,
sure
the
Gleam's looked
AE
into
map
that.
is a globe projection, not a flat Earth map.
Yeah, good reminder.
What speed they were going? How can we verify that?
With lots of money and power and influence.
Yeah, I'll have to look into that. Earth is life. Thanks for the tip there.
Yeah, I think maybe Wolfie did a video on it or something, but I've seen a lot of people have been posting about it. I think Jeranism did some kind of reply.
Okay. Yeah, I'll check that out. What do you think? What was your impression of it, Farmaganja?
I didn't pay it much attention.
Gotcha.
I mean, I think we've talked about that before, the idea that when the winds are going right, they can get like a 200-mile-per-hour tailwind. So even if they are flying a longer route, that they can still do it within the time. But then it goes back to, do you believe the reporting from, the flight tracker software? And
Yeah, same old arguments. Yeah,
Yep.
you have to go by, the GPS and their map and all that shit. Yeah. Hey, one thing I was thinking about while I was gone was that experiment that I had been talking about with the cone on the bottom of water to see if it'll rise. And I realized that there's another example of this, which would be kind of like a sunken submarine or a half buried submarine. So this is a little thought experiment here. You got bottom of an ocean, silty bottom. You've got a half sunken submarine and you want to raise it. So what they do is they hook up a couple of hoses, pump out the water, and pump air in it. Okay, it's half buried. And once they get enough air into it to where it would be less dense than the water, considerably so, is it going to rise out of the silt and go to the top or go up?
we were debating this back and forth a couple of weeks ago, and I believe Zanuck was saying that the Globers who say that that there has to be water underneath in order to create that buoyant force to push it up, I believe he said they were incorrect. That was kind of the conclusion that I came to, that Zanuck agreed that if you, because I think what you're saying makes eminent sense, right? You pump air into it and then it's going to rise up, even though it's connected to the floor. And I believe that that's what Zanuck was saying also.
Right. So if that's true, and I'm pretty damn sure it is, because I can't imagine you fill something with air that's half buried and it's not going to go up. It would go against my understanding of how things work in reality. Then what's pushing it up? Because there's nothing getting underneath it. It's just like the example that Brian always brings up, and I always wondered what the hell he was talking about with the methane released from, underneath the ocean that pushes its way out. Why does it push its way out and go to the top? There's nothing pushing it out, yet it rises. So how come something rises if there's nothing pushing it out, if this is supposedly some force that's pushing it up from the bottom?
No, in the case of the methane, gas expands, right? So it's at a certain density, and that's what keeps it trapped. And then it expands due to maybe thermal forces underneath, or more light, or who knows. It expands, and the density changes, and then it can push its way up through with that force. It's all about density and buoyancy, everything.
Right. Well, that's my point, but we've talked about this for a long time, and my understanding from the conversations is that the buoyant force is due to the medium pushing the less dense object up. That's how it's always described. But if there's no way for the medium to get underneath the object to push it up, why does it still rise? I think that there was nothing to do with pushing an object up. It doesn't have anything to do with that. That's what it appears to me.
Yeah, it's the disequilibrium. So how much of that particular object is out of equilibrium? And with your case of the cone, or even the submarine, or whatever the situation is, there's still a squeezing force. So you've still got water, or whatever the medium might be, pushing on the sides of this object as well. So if you only had maybe 1/10 of your submarine out of the sand or out of the silt, and there was no water, in that silt, the silt was so fine that it pressed all the water out. Yeah, you're going to have a very hard time raising it. But as soon as you got 50%, I suppose, or maybe a fraction more, it becomes a different situation, and it's just all about the density and the forces applied. So your cone idea, I think, is unique because as it gets wider, the squeezing force has changed. And I did mention that they have underwater bladders where they store gas based on that principle, the shape of the actual bladder. And that's what keeps it on the bottom. But
Really?
yeah.
Oh, interesting. I'd like to see that. Yeah, that's interesting. And those are less dense than the ocean? Or the water?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, definitely.
Oh, okay, and it does keep it down. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, I still think I should do that experiment. I still think it's an interesting one. But I was just thinking about that exam. I just can't imagine filling something with air and it not rising, regardless of whether the medium's underneath it or not. Will Gaston, $10. Who is going to Flattoberfest? Hands up. Anybody going to Flattoberfest? I've never been before.
I'm not leaving Canada. Sorry.
Oh, you're a Canuck? I didn't know you were in Canada, Rob. Huh. Travis, you've been to Flattoberfest, haven't you?
Thinking about going again this year. I just don't know. I was going to try to get my route planned so that I stop my delivery in town on Friday and then finish out on Monday. So I'm still thinking if I'm going to do that.
I've never personally been to any of these get-togethers, the conferences or whatever.
Yeah, it's enjoyable. I enjoy getting to know people and talking to faces I haven't seen in a while. It's fun. It's enjoyable.
Do I know Globers show up because George has showed up before, and I've heard a couple other Globers mention that they've gone to the conferences. Do debates break out in person?
Oh, bare knuckle fisticuffs, but you'll have conversations going on in pockets all over. But that's about it.
Yeah. Okay.
I personally haven't seen anything crazy except for that conference in Dallas, the one that George was at, where there was that issue with I think it was Nathan Thompson and somebody else. That's about as crazy as it got.
It was M. Stone.
Yeah, M. Stone, right.
Yeah, that guy's fucking worthless.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but that's pretty accurate, Jeremy. Don't mean to trash talk someone, but M. Stone is a pretty fucking useless individual.
I mean, yeah, he never adds anything good to the conversation or any. It's like he's detrimental to the conversation having him around. Anyways, I don't think anything big happened while you were gone. Really, we've just been hanging out, killing the Globers as usual. They got nothing.
Real quick, Brandon, why don't you just do your experiment like the sub? Bury like a plastic bottle or something, and then, have like an air pump that you can hook up.
Because we can't let water get underneath it. They say the water is pushing it up, right? So if we have a thing and we don't let water get underneath it, it shouldn't go up.
Oh, there's a way you can test it. For example, if you hold a cup with the hole down on the, for example, on the bottom of a sink, and you hold the cup there and you start filling the sink with water, you can then release the cup and it's not going to go up. It gets stuck in the bottom of the sink because there's no because the weight of the water is pressing the cup down, and there's no water below
So,
it pushing
all
it
right,
up.
I think that's a different kind of thing going on. You might have some kind of suction thing going on there. What if instead of a cup we just had a block of styrofoam and we sealed it with some grease or something so that
Block of
no
what?
water could get underneath? A block of styrofoam, a pyramid, a cup shaped object that was made out of styrofoam.
Yeah, if the shape is larger in the bottom than it is on the top, then
Yeah,
you
we'll have a
can use
cone, a
other objects to
styrofoam.
do it.
We'll have a styrofoam cone
I'm not sure
on
what
the bottom.
styrofoam is, but yeah,
Uh,
it
You know what
should work
styrofoam
as
is?
well.
you know,
Be
like
here where you were.
plastic, like they make Nerf footballs out of that type of material.
They make what?
You know, those soft footballs, Nerf footballs.
Nerf footballs?
Packing
Oh.
peanuts. You ever got a package in the mail and it was filled with peanuts?
No.
You ever had a
Or a widescreen. You ever bought a
tailgate
flat
party?
screen TV? You ever bought a
Tailgate
flat screen
party.
TV and there's a little piece of styrofoam at the top and the bottom or the sides to make sure it doesn't wiggle around? How do you
I
know what styrofoam
I know
is?
what you're talking about.
All right, that's styrofoam. So if we had a
Because
He's our new resident troll. You guys don't know who Bacon is?
no, my
It's okay.
vocabulary
It's okay.
my
It's
vocabulary
fine. Yeah, it's an
is
English thing.
limited.
It's an English thing. That's fine. But so that's styrofoam. So if you have a triangle thing of that, or a cone-shaped thing of that, with obviously the wide part at the bottom, no water can get underneath. We'll put a little grease or something around it. You're
If
saying
you
that
can-
should stay on the bottom.
If you can text how it's spelled, you can just Google it and I'll know what it is.
Oh,
It's
you
that
don't, you
white.
don't
It's
know
that
what it
white
is?
shit.
Oh, hold on.
It's that white shit that comes when you buy a flat screen TV. You know, there's that white, that like bulky white shit in the box to make sure it doesn't get dinged up in transit.
Oh, right.
Yeah, that's styrofoam.
Right. Yeah. If you have a cup in that format, yeah, you can do it.
Where it's wider at the bottom a little bit. Yeah, you're saying if we put a little grease around the bottom, you're saying that's not going to go up.
If we put what in?
We'll put a little grease around the bottom to make sure no water can get underneath.
Oil, wax, you know.
Do we
Vaseline.
maybe need a translator? What's your national language there, Bacon? Like, do we need somebody that'll help translate for you?
Well, it's the thing is that you're using some words that aren't that often used. So
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's fine. A little grease,
we
like
use these words all
I
the time,
learned
last 5 years.
I learned English by speaking it. I didn't
thick
study
grease.
the
Yeah, that's fine.
vocabulary.
That's fine. We'll put some thick grease around the bottom of it. You know, so some like jelly kind of
Crisco.
substance. Nothing sticky. Nothing sticky. Yeah, Crisco is good. Ooh, I like that, Brandon. Say that. We'll put some Crisco under it on the edges around the thing to seal it up like caulk so that no water can get underneath. And you're telling me that styrofoam thing is going to stay on the bottom?
Yeah, if it's sealed against the water, then at some point actually the water is going to press against it downwards because you have a downwards force as well.
All right.
So Bacon, did you hear what Brandon was saying before about lifting a submarine up off the bottom of the ocean?
I don't think so.
So, like,
I got here some minutes ago.
if they were trying to salvage a submarine, right? What would they do? It's down on the bottom of the ocean. It's kind of partially buried in the silt. Like, you would pump the water out of it, and then you would pump air into it, and then once it had enough buoyancy, you'd expect it to rise off of the bottom, right? Or are we totally off base?
Sure. I think so, yeah. So sounds reasonable.
The difference with the submarine is the water can get underneath and press it up, which is what the Globers is saying is happening.
Yeah, but underneath in the silt, like imagine the bottom of how much pressure can
Under the
water...
whole sub, the whole submarine as a whole.
No, it's buried. It's like half buried. It's like perfectly half buried. So only silt is underneath.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Only what?
When you're talking about a submarine that sank.
Yeah, the dirt at the bottom of a lake.
Oh,
silt.
all right.
Yeah, but the dirt isn't completely
No, I get that, but you're telling me that water in the dirt is gonna push the submarine up?
Yeah, if you would measure the pressure there, it's the same pressure as around it. So that
Brandon,
force exists there.
Brandon, this is like a $4 experiment, bro. Go to Joann Fabrics or one of those goofy ass fabric stores that chicks love. Buy a cone, get some fucking Crisco on the way home.
Wait,
Boom,
didn't
you got the fish
Kosho,
tank.
wasn't Kosho doing it? Didn't he have the cups and all that?
No, Kosho has the dude. I don't know if you've ever seen the shit Kosho sets up. It is the most horribly crafted experiments that I've ever seen him do. One time he had a pendulum. It was like a bag with all kinds of holes and shit in it. The cup thing was, I don't know if I saw that or not.
But
We're
wasn't
talking
Zanuck
Chris
doing
Berry
silly
level
shit.
equipment here. Shout out Chris Berry.
wasn't Zanuck telling those guys they were wrong though? Gummy Bear and the rest who were trying to say that water has to get underneath something.
They all say that. That is the mantra. That's
But
the glorp shit.
Zanuck was debunking them, and he
Then
sounded
it
like
goes
he knew
against
what
the
he was
grain
talking
against a little
about.
bit. He's a little off the wall there.
You know what Zanuck once told me? I think he told this to both of us, Jeremy. The sooner we forget about logic and common sense, the better off we'll be in understanding the heliocentric model.
That sounds about right. I mean,
He should have included thermodynamics in that also.
Shit. I haven't seen. He doesn't come around much anymore. Does he hang out at Gems or
he's
something?
been in Geo's the past couple days. I've seen him in there.
I gotta make it over there. Sounds like it's pretty thriving
A
over
lot
there.
of people, yeah, a lot of people. Sometimes we get two rooms going.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, you guys streaming?
Yeah, we're on Twitch, Twitter,
There's
Instagram,
actually
chat, all that.
there's actually 3 rooms being streamed right now.
Oh no shit.
Yeah, it's a good time, Brandon. It's a little different.
Okay. Oh, that's
Streaming live on
check it out.
we're streaming live on OnlyFans.
Well, me too. Isn't everybody doing that?
Had to drag me away to come over here because George was beating on the desk while Bev was talking to him.
I told you it don't unless George starts shaving on the camera, it don't count.
Oh, I see. George will go over there, but I don't know if I can't keep track if he quit this server now or if he's back.
I think today's the first time he's shown up, and I think he was ready to rage quit when I left.
Oh, that's pretty quick. Okay.
Yeah, he's been on vacation too.
All right. Yeah, I'll get that experiment. Oh, go ahead. Hey, what's going on, Ricky?
Yeah, what's up? George, welcome back. George leaves Bev's server every time he comes in. That's true.
It's part of the process.
Same thing
huh?
here, right?
Yeah, it's just part of the deal.
Yeah, it is pretty close to the same. He hangs out in YouTube more than he hangs out in here, and he'll sit in here in the voice for maybe half an hour, and then I get long IMs saying that he just can't handle the stupidity anymore, and he's gonna bow out for his own mental health. What's going on, Rakia? How's it going, man? What's new?
Ah, man. Long day at work. We've been having crazy 3 a.m. pours and lots of business going on right now. So great in that aspect. Just tired. But
right. And you've been doing a bang up job over at Geo's modding. Very, very well. Good job.
I'm trying to learn. It's a little different being a mod than it is just being you can do whatever. So it's a learning curve, but I do like the aspect of trying to keep out the personal stuff. There's plenty of places to go and have that fun, right? Let it out. But they're trying to just stick to a topic. It's been good. The hosting thing, I think, is really good. I think that's the way to go. You know, whoever wants to host a topic, be in control, be a mod for that time period, and then only talk about that topic and have them as the lead kind of thing. That's been pretty cool.
Oh, I like that idea. That is pretty cool.
Yeah, you might want to look into that. He's got a room called the the stage, where you can invite a couple people in or go in by yourself and give a presentation, and then the audience is muted and can't butt in. The only thing you can't post, you can't stream your screen or post pictures, so they're trying to work out something with that.
Okay. Yeah, that would come in handy.
I did notice something new about your server, Brandon, that it has a live now YouTube button.
Yeah, it wants me to join. I'm like, join what? I'm already in it.
Does that go to YouTube? Oh, I put that on there. I guess there's a new feature where you can schedule a show or something. So I scheduled that. I didn't know what it did. I think it just has you join the room if you click it.
And you were late. You were late. I had a timer going, and I was waiting for like 10 minutes after the timer went off, bro.
I was on time. What are you talking about?
Brandon, did you get the news of the day where Sean G emphatically says there's no hump?
What? No hump.
No hump. The hump is dead.
What is it now?
My humps,
Is
my
it-
humps, my humps.
Okay, so he doesn't believe in curvature anymore. Is that what you're saying?
No, I don't want to put words in his mouth. I just know he doesn't like that hump.
Huh. Hey, I got a comment here. Master Agario, your object and water problem. It is the same principle as wrapping a car. No glue is used, but there is no air between the wrap and the car.
Does Sean understand? So, hold on, let me just 1 second address something I just got said. Does Sean understand that there's an actual word for the hump, a Glober term? It's called the sagittal. Like that's not. We didn't make that. We didn't make the hump up.
Oh, honestly,
Yeah,
you can ask
sagitta
hump
is
is what he
actually
doesn't
specifically the height of the hump.
Oh, don't say hump.
Well, the hump's real. So the hump's real then, since we have a specific term for the height of it, right?
Well, the word sagitta isn't referring to the Earth; it's referring to circles.
I think that
If you're asking if they're
I think that Sean's issue was to get away from thinking that the water moves in an upward direction. Rather, he prefers to talk about the observer being the benchmark, and then everything moving. You can't get away from direction dropping or going down from that position. But he doesn't want to talk about water curving up.
Well, no matter what, whether your feet and my feet on different shorelines are parallel or perpendicular or horizontal to each other or what, it's the water in between us is still higher than our feet. That's a hump.
What he would say no,
not higher
Rakia.
altitude.
Right. That's what Sean wants to get away from. There is no higher.
No, there is no higher from altitude level, but there would be higher height between a straight line, because if you have 2 points on the surface of a sphere, a straight line between them goes through the sphere, right? If they're on a plane, then that doesn't go through the plane, so there is no change in altitude if it's in either of those examples. But in one of them, you have a difference from that straight line, right?
Yeah.
Right.
On the
Is that-
globe
is
model,
it-
yep, you draw a line on the globe model. Absolutely, you draw a line between two people. You got a hump.
Yeah, and the
Avoid
hump is
saying-
only height. Sorry, go on.
I'll be quick. I would avoid saying right at the end of your statement, like everyone is agreeing with you. Just make your statement, right?
But just right in the end of your statement. So how
I
hypocrite?
mean, in the globe model, he's right in the globe model. I'm not saying it pertains to reality at all in any way, shape, or form, but in this model, yep. It's funny Sean's denying it. I don't know.
What is he trying to get away
Yeah.
from? Why is he denying it?
I just told you.
Yeah, but
He-
why?
My bad, I wasn't listening.
Because he
want-
doesn't. He wants
Yeah, but-
everything to be down, not up. So
But
everything is down from your point of view. So that's how he
Oh,
looks at it. Yeah. Because
But it is.
if everything that you're looking at is empirical from your position, then that's the only claim that you can make is that everything's going down. So there's no hump.
Unless you look at
Exactly.
another
The height.
another object, right? If you look at
If you're not assuming the shape, that's why you have to say it that way.
The height is from the perspective of a straight line, from you and the other point, not from you. From you, there's no hump. There's just drop.
Right.
unless you're
and that's
looking
why,
at something across the surface, though, right?
well, it
You're looking
depends
at
on
somebody
if the
10 miles
surface
away.
is straight or, I mean, because if he's a surveyor, right, then he has to be trained to understand that in some situations things may go down or straight or up or whatever, right? So you can only measure from where you're standing, and from where you're standing, you can't make the claim of there being a hump. So he doesn't like that term.
Okay.
No, I don't think Sean is a certified surveyor.
Well, he said something about doing it for 20 years, so whatever. I don't know.
Well, if he is, I don't think he's ever stated that he's a certified surveyor. So
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know if he calls himself a surveyor, but it would be a loose term if you're not certified, right? If you don't have that.
I think it's kind of funny how he
Like-
went from flat to globe, and now he's talking flat terms, and all of a sudden he wants to do this surveying thing as if he's got a lot of experience. I think that's kind of odd. Seems like something he would have wanted to do before he started to pick a side a long time ago.
It was the very first thing I did, physics, like surveying wise. Like I went and did some observations first over Lake Pontchartrain because that's what got me started. Soundly's picture of a power line that I'd fished by all my life and knew it wasn't curving. The second thing I did was line up a surveying crew, and I used that loosely, just people who knew how to use the tools to go out and create a horizontal over water to see if it was curving. The way we did it, it wasn't. I've been told I've done it wrong, but I haven't been given a good method to go out and try it again. But yeah, to me, that was the first and second thing I did because I wanted to know for myself, and I knew how to use the tools. That's why I'm agreeing with you. He knows how to use the tools, but has waited this long. It is kind of strange to me. And I'm trying
Yeah,
to get
and
the
to
beef
flip
out
flop
of it.
sides too. Yeah.
Well,
But to each their own. If he wants to go do tests, I love it because if it goes one way or another, I know I can go out and do the same thing, right? And see if he did it wrong or if I'm doing it wrong or whatever.
Well, between Rumpus's test and Sean G and Ranty, we should be able to put this thing to bed soon.
I mean, these auto levels are cheap. I mean, $30 a day or whatever, and it sounds like you may even have one, Rakia.
Yeah, I have 2 in my truck right now and a laser level.
Well, there you go.
Every one of my crews has 1 or 2. I mean, these are things my crew is using right now. We've used all day. I personally put my hands on them all day today. All we do is create horizontal and measure drop from it to give us a slope to know which direction the water is going to flow.
Do you have a 32X?
Yes.
What brand or model number?
Let me see.
Because I'm looking into these right now. Yeah, no hurries. I've been kind of casually looking into these all day, ever since he brought this shit up.
Well, hopefully Sean will come in here and tell us about his experiment. I think you guys already described it, but
Well, I guess what he wants to do is just create a reference point and then, connect the dots with all the different reference points. And then he said, if there's a difference of 1 millimeter, then it's a curved Earth. And I'm like, not sure I trust this dude to do the test.
that's a pretty slim margin of error.
Yeah, sounds like he's a little full of shit.
Yeah, maybe. Huh.
That's okay though. I mean, we don't need him to do this. So let's just get all of our people on it.
What do you think we should do, Riggs, experiment wise? Do you have
I
an
mean,
idea that you?
anything that you can do to create a like a straight edge, the Earth has to deviate from that point in all directions. You know, so we have plenty of places that claim to be level. Like I don't know, like if anybody has a few acres of land, even in Florida, I think the average elevation is around 3 feet across the whole state. So, I mean, there's plenty of places that we could try to set up a straight edge, and there are some connecting parts that you can have very high tolerances, and it doesn't need to be a thick piece. You could just connect them like Legos, and I mean, use supports when you need them, I guess. But yeah, I think doing a straight edge and what do they call it, like forcing the line kind of a thing, is the best way to demonstrate.
Yeah, we've talked about that for a long time, but we just could not come up with a good way to make the straight line without.
I like
reference.
Just have a machined surface with connecting parts.
It's literally impossible.
No, it's not. It's not impossible.
How do you do it?
I just said it. You have to have machined parts, and then you connect them, and they can't deviate. Now there could be stressors where they bend because of weight, but I mean you just set up support beams, so there's no flex. And it also depends what material you're using.
So we really just need the support beams to be straight then.
Well,
why even bother with the machine parts if we're gonna have the
no,
support
what
beams be
all you
straight?
need to do is just make sure that the parts that you're using don't carry a substantial amount of weight. So they could just even be machined aluminum. They could be very thin. They don't even have to be very heavy. They just need something to rest on, so that they're
And if they're not resting on a flat surface over enough distance, to what? Start curving with the surface it's on, no?
Well, I mean, ideally these parts would hold their true because they're connected. All you're trying to do is remove any ability for them to go down because of a weight. So, I mean, there's many ways to set up a support system for that,
We've kind of kicked that idea around before, Jeremy, of making interlocked machined parts and making it so they can only connect.
I saw this real nice thing. Yeah, I saw this real nice thing on TikTok, right? It was like these jigsaw puzzle pieces. It was a cube, but you could probably make them for just a flat thing or whatever. But when it was one of those things where when the metal's just right, you can't see a seam in it at all. You ever seen that? I think it's called cold welding or something. Like if you were to leave it like there for long enough, it would just weld itself back together or something. There's something like that.
I think a cold weld is when you rub two metal pieces together until they get really hot and become one item.
I don't know. Either way, these were so precision engineered that when the jigsaw pieces went together, you couldn't even see a seam in it at all. I mean, then you have the problem of what if those things are over a long enough distance? Are they going to start to bend? I would go with just drawing a straight line on a wall somehow or something. I don't know. Something.
Well, what I would like to accomplish is to create these machined parts, create a straight edge, and at the same time mount a laser on one end, mount a laser on the other end, mount any kind of optical equipment that you need on one end.
We're gonna bring everything, bro.
Yeah, just if you've created a true, test the true from all different ways that you would test it, and not only that, but put a water level, at different sections along the way to prove that you know, that all these different reference points are actually just one reference, and it's not realigning itself to the shape of the globe or whatever, you know, to prove for once and for all that these are all the same level, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all for that. You don't have it going with multiple methods. We'll even bring a GPS, the theodolites, the laser levels, all that shit.
Well, and if you did bring the GPS, you'd be able to demonstrate where the bias lies, and
Yeah,
it would
totally.
probably, in my opinion, it would reside within the firmware of the GPS, or whatever software is holding the model that GPS references.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah, something like that might work. Maybe I can see the support system that you described working. Jeremy, maybe you're not picturing it, but as long as you're not using it as a reference and just to kind of hold the weight of these interlocking pieces together, just to take the weight of it out of the equation.
Well,
I
and
don't see a
you
problem
can
with that.
set it up in such a way that it doesn't raise it up and lower it down, because it couldn't, because the interlocking points are so machined so well that they could only go straight. The only difference is that you're just taking the weight out of it by holding it in place.
Yeah, but these guys say if it's bending a micron in a few spots, it'll be off a massive amount by then. And the point is, if you have these straight things that we're going to rest the jigsaw puzzle pieces on, why even bother with the jigsaw puzzle pieces if we know that thing's straight?
Because you have to create an artificial straight edge. You can't just use the ground or like the support beams. You'd have to. Why bother what?
If the support beams aren't straight and the thing's bending with it, it's just going to bend with this where the support beams are holding
Let
it.
me give you an example, okay? If I had a 1 foot length of aluminum, okay, and it was machined to the highest level of machining that we can do, all right, and when you interlock this part, it doesn't really move, right? However,
they were doing the math for this even at longer lengths than that. You know, at like 10-foot lengths, I've seen it done. And
well, 10-foot lengths would still move. I mean, that's
the point is,
not
if you're
even so
off
much
by
the problem is moving. Yes, like you're talking about the machining tolerances are down to like 0.0001 inch.
we can't
right?
machine things. If you use the plate that they use to machine things, those plates still wouldn't do it. It'd still be up over what the curve's expected to be. The plates that they use to machine the things on.
Dude, I'm not talking about two different surfaces. I'm talking about interlocking surfaces that hold a true reference. There's a way to do that.
I'm telling you, if you cut some pieces out of the plate that they use to machine shit with, those very precise plates, those aren't precise enough. The error would still be over what the expected curve would be.
That's not true. I mean, there's ways to do it. Where...
I've seen the math done on it. So.
Well, look, man,
Have you seen
there's
the math
ways to
done?
do it, bro. Show me that you can do math at all. All right.
Oh, I have math guys.
I've heard you talk about.
math.
Show me the math, and all you do, you just say
Then I
that
bring it to my math
to
guys.
scoff people off, or to.
No, then I bring the math to my math guys.
Your math guys, okay.
Yeah, my math guys. I got all kinds. I have all kinds of people. Yes.
Right. Anyways, look, there's way to create interlocking parts that hold true. There's ways to do it, and it doesn't require the highest amount of grade of machining. You can use even a less one, and then having like a conical shape locking part where you push it into place and it locks in with friction. But it holds true because of the flat edge on the end. There's ways to do this. That's just one way. There's a million different ways to create interlocking parts. But it can hold true.
Anything that has weight that is suspended between 2 points, which is ideally what you're suggesting, is
well, you could have a support at each junction, even like 1 or 2 feet interlocking
30
parts.
centimeter or 1 foot. No, but each junction represents just another point of suspension. So in between each support, there's going to be sag. You need something with zero weight, and that doesn't exist.
Well, if you have enough support, you would be able to see the sag within the connecting part, and there wouldn't be any because of the machining tolerances.
You'll never see the sag. What you'll need to do theoretically is the straight edge would need to be built, and the support would need to be constructed to meet the straight edge. You couldn't calculate where the supports would need to be and build them upright, like Jeremy's suggesting, all straight, because the supports would have to meet the edge that you make. So
I know.
Yeah, just
I know,
kicking
but
things
you
around.
wouldn't be able to bend it up or down. Well, you wouldn't be able to bend it up or bend it down because you want to have it right where the part is. Like it would hold its position. The support is only there to prove a point.
Yeah, well, you're denying gravity, unfortunately.
No, I'm. You guys are denying. You guys are actually like all of these things are totally possible, and they're used in modern day engineering. This is all stuff that people use.
How much this project is going to cost?
It doesn't
Do
matter. I could do it myself
doesn't
on my
matter,
own land and not tell anybody.
No, you're setting yourself to not do it ever because it will cost so much money. You won't do it.
How about just making a water level that's like 1 kilometer or 2 kilometers long with an upspout every, say, 100 meters? And then you would definitely see differences in the level if there's a different, gravitational attraction over
Yeah, but we got newbies in here or something. We got new people.
Well, you're running into the same problem of the reference straight edge.
I think
Because
actually
you would need the straight edge before the water would have any relevance.
I still think the best idea is White's words idea.
Yeah, no, White's has a good fucking thing going. He even had a plan B. He's working on a Wile E. Coyote blueprint over there. This guy.
You still working on that? White?
Yeah, I've lost my beach, guys. I've lost my beach. We need another 10-kilometer stretch of beach, straight beach.
Shit. Anybody got a 10-kilometer stretch of straight beach that's open to the public?
What's his idea? Use a beach?
Oh, it's beautiful. His idea is beautiful.
You want to describe it, Whites?
Oh, look, the basic premise is if the Earth is curved and you stretch out a line of rope strong enough to put a bit of tension on, you'll actually see the line try and pull into the Earth because you're trying to force the cord. Whereas if it's not curved, you'll only ever be trying to lift the rope up off the ground, or at least parallel with the ground.
There'll be weight measurements, force measurements.
Yeah, there's either a down force or there's not. So
you got that? Wait, you got that diagram? That diagram explained it all. Even though I spent one whole day arguing with Brandon over it because I didn't read it.
Yeah, I'm driving.
So you want to pull 2 points of a rope straight across a long distance?
No,
not
straight. Just put tension on it. And if it was laying along the ground over 10 kilometers, there's apparently a 2-meter hump between each point that's 10 kilometers apart.
Right.
So if you were to put tension on that rope, the rope would try and pull into the ground, and you can measure that force. But if it's not curved, the rope would never try and pull into the ground down. It would only ever attempt to pull up, or
Brandon, you got that diagram?
exactly horizontal.
My bad, Whites. Brandon, you have that diagram? It has all the
Yeah, let me see if I can
numbers.
find it. I had to feed my cat real quick.
Why on flat Earth it would not try to pull into the ground?
We don't have time to explain it to you, Chike. If you don't know,
No, explain to me. It has weight when it's on the ground. Now you start pulling it,
Yes.
it will
On a flat
suddenly,
Earth.
magically, will
I'm
lose
gonna tell you
all
why,
weight
Chike, I'm gonna tell
along
you why.
all the way.
I'm gonna tell you why, Chike. If you stop talking on a globe, this is at such specific heights to where, if it was on a globe, it would be and you pull it tight, it would be pressing down on the hump, the sagittal.
Right.
If you pull it tight on the globe, it'd be pressing down on that. On a flat Earth, when you pull it, it would be trying to lift up on that, and you would have
So you measure if there is increase in tension or decrease in tension.
weight
Right.
or whatever. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, I could
Go ahead,
co-sign
do it.
that. I think that's
Downward
doable.
force, yeah. It's definitely doable. It's just and it's cheap. Just need the beach,
Right.
and a few people. It's not
The
expensive.
shit had
So do you want
point G on it and everything.
do you want to
That
use
shit's good to go.
high tensile strength, like fishing wire or something?
No, I've got 8 mil polypropylene. I've got stuff ready to go. I've just lost my beach.
You're a son of a what?
I have polypropylene rope, 8 mil. It's about as wide as your little finger, and that's got about 1,200 kilograms of braking strength, 1.2 ton. I've got that ready to go. I just don't have a beach.
I got
Yeah.
the joke.
And what? Yeah. What would be the weight of that? Let's say you just did a mile.
It's 30. It's 30 kilograms per kilometer.
Okay. And it would.
What's the tensile strength?
Yeah, it's 1.2 ton. But at the end of the day, this could be laying on the ground. So, you know, a lot of people don't appreciate that. This could be laying flat on the ground, pull it between the 2 points, 10 kilometers. The center point is still going to try and pull down through the earth.
Yeah. Well,
a lot of people say, "Oh, if it's on the ground, it's
ideally you want to get it as low as you can get it. I mean, that only proves the point even more, right?
Well, yeah, but my sort of theory was to go up in height at each end as well to actually prove that it was flat. Now that requires to overcome a little bit of sag, which is potentially
I have
not
a
going to happen.
question.
But we'll see.
Right, could we do this at Lake Eyre? Like you've lost Galway Beach, have you? The council shut you down, or what happened?
Yeah, the whole end, the other end that I need's got bloody nesting birds on it, and they won't let me. So
okay. Like,
Well, I don't even think you need a beach.
I know it's a long drive, but could it be done there?
I'll have a look. I did have a really good look, and I'm pretty sure there's not quite enough
You
space.
need a nice.
But I'll have another look.
You don't even need a beach, though. That's the crazy part. You could just do this
something
anywhere
like
that's flat.
Lake Eyre. It's more than Lake Eyre's more than 10 kilometers long.
No, you need to make. You need to have a beach
or the waterway to show level, right?
Yeah, you need to have
we
a
need to show level at the start.
You need to have the
How will
beach.
you measure the
You need to
pressure
have
or
the
the
beach
weight?
so that you know it's. Hold on. You need to have the beach so that you know the land you're on is level because the water will be right there. Also, Plan B involves the tide. So you need to be right near the beach so you can throw this in the water and go to Plan B if necessary.
Yeah, look, that is
A
logistically
beach,
harder.
like a sea beach.
Yes,
Have a
the
look,
ocean.
I
You're
reckon
kidding
somewhere
me.
up
You're
around
kidding
like
me.
Port
There's
Gawler.
waves.
Port Gawler, up there, there's lots and lots of tidal marsh, mangrove flats and things. We might be able to find something up there where we could do it.
You know what? I'm probably gonna do this on my own and just come back and let you guys know what happened because this sounds really simple.
Yeah. Good luck.
Yeah, but how will you
Good luck.
measure the weight?
Please do it.
Yeah, that'd be great if you did
I
it.
mean, you
but-
could just do fishing wire. I mean, you don't need all this
But
crazy
how will
shit.
you
You can do,
measure the weight?
how would I what now?
So how will you guys measure the difference in weight, or lack of weight, or the amount of
Well,
weight?
all I would have to do essentially is just find this a very very flat piece of land, or like they said, next to water, and create a distance that's long enough where the hump would obstruct the cable.
Right, but how would you measure whether it's pushing against the hump or you're lifting it from the hump? Like if the rope or wire is laying, across the
Because
ground,
the wire
like
wouldn't. Yeah, because the wire wouldn't sag upward, right? It would sag down. So it only proves my point even more.
Okay, but we're talking
Well,
about
actually,
multiple
proves my
numbers.
point anymore. But yeah, no, it's just a weight scale. A weight scale in the middle. Very sensitive weight scale. It's either going to increasing weight underneath the line as the tension falls down, or it's going to reduce, like go negative.
I mean, the weight scale's cool and all, but I would rather just demonstrate that the hump isn't there.
Okay.
And
Yeah, well, fair enough.
I mean, that seems simple to me.
I asked Rumpus to put his neck underneath the middle. I said, you put your neck under the middle, Rumpus, and let me know if you feel it getting flatter or not. And he seemed to think, no, it wouldn't get tighter. And
No,
George,
he'd feel the full weight of that wire.
yeah, and it would start to
Yeah.
cut in as we apply tension too.
You guys don't even. Yeah. How much force you expect in the middle of the wire? How much you going to pull? And
It doesn't matter how much.
Oh, yes,
It's
it
irrelevant
does.
It doesn't even have to be in the middle. Hold on, guys. It doesn't even have to be in the middle. There's points set up all along the way. You only have to get a You can register a
Right.
force close to where you're pulling it from.
Really?
Yeah, so I've got a lot of background noise. I'm gonna
Yeah, that's not gonna work.
Where are you going to measure the force exactly?
You got the diagram, Brandon? That's not it, is it?
Yeah, you're gonna measure the force on the line at,
Oh,
at some different points. I don't know if I have
Where?
White's diagram, but along the line. You mean where?
Yeah. Okay. How much
You mean the
does
points, the one
how
with
much
the point
tension
G?
does your line hold? Can hold?
He said that before. I can't remember what it is. What is it, Whites? A lot.
A lot is like vague.
What are you worried about, Chuck? Are you worried about the
I'm worried
ability
about,
to create
I
a
want to
force
know
that
in
will
the
that you can
point you're going
register?
to measure how much force there will be there. That's what I'm worried about.
Right. You think it's going to be too little force to measure? Is that what you're worried about?
Yes.
Yeah, that's come up before. I think that's what Plan B is all about, actually. In case that's true. Yeah, we've seen the math. We've seen the how much force could potentially be generated at that angle. We went through all that stuff with a couple people. I can't remember. Maybe it was Rumpus and somebody else. I don't know if I buy it. I think it's worth trying. I think it's worth doing and seeing
Yeah,
what
and
happens.
that's providing you only have the force applied on that point. But since the cable is lying on the ground, it spread the force
Right.
all over the land.
Yeah. No, that's a real concern. Yeah. You've got a good point, but there should be some force, right? Or are you saying it's going to be?
my answer to that is if the world is flat and we've got a nice flat section of beach and we've got posts along the beach, and so the tide comes in and we can mark off all water level, all points where the water is across all the posts along 10 kilometers. Tides come in, we've marked off all the water level. Tide goes out a little bit, gives us access to the posts. We go and run the line along. We've got our wave measurements up. If it's flat and we put tension, there's going to be no increase in downward force on that line, as opposed to if it's curved. There can only be an increase, because for every kilogram of tension that we put on the line, it has to be directed. That force has to go down. That's the way it works. So if it's flat, there won't be any downward. Where if it's curved, there has to be some. Full stop. It's the way you tie something down on the back of a ute. You put something there, you chuck rope over it, you tighten the rope, and it holds the fucking thing on the back of the ute. It's how it works.
Yeah, some, but what is this sum?
It's very small force, granted, but there is a force, right, Chucky? There would be a force.
There would be force.
Yeah, as
The
opposed to no
question
force.
is, are you able to measure this force?
What's the
I
smallest?
predict it'll be more measurable than your curvature.
How would you measure the force, Chucky?
I simply would
Lay down underneath it.
Yeah, there you go. If Earth is flat, then you won't get strangled by the rope, and if it's a ball, you'll get strangled. No? I want to see it done. Maybe it will be a very small force, but this is the best idea that we've come up with, honestly. So I'm really looking forward to seeing this done. I even searched for a pool or something that's long enough to do this. There's no pool in the world that's this long. You have to use the ocean or a lake, I guess. No, you have to use the ocean, right? Because Plan B relies on the tide.
or a trench. Or a trench.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could do a trench, but then you don't have plan B. But I mean,
Yeah. I thought that was plan A, Jeremy.
Excuse me, gentlemen. Can I jump in here real quick?
Sure.
How about a canal?
no, we need non-flowing water. It's gotta be still.
Canals don't flow.
Oh, all
They're
right,
in between. If you go in between lots.
that should work then. Yeah.
Yeah, that was my idea. Is that if you could shelter it like it was indoor, then you'd expect the water to be perfectly still, and then you just need to be able to make that straight reference line
I mean,
on like the wall next to it.
if we get a few of us out there, I mean, we'll have a 10-kilometer thing dug in the sand by lunch.
You love that.
Sure.
Shit. Got a
So you know
shovel
how
in that
fast
chair.
you can dig in sand?
But you have Aaron. Aaron can dig you a trench in no time.
Bro, I dig a trench. I dig a mile-long trench with an army shovel in sand before breakfast.
I've spent a lot of my life dredging, Jeremy, dredging sand, and I can tell you that would close up before you finish the other end, man.
I'd like to see Jeremy out there just feverishly digging a fucking trench with an army shovel.
Have it filling in behind it, that'd be better.
Yeah, hopefully you find a beach, man.
Yeah, well, there's no other beach close to me. That's another issue. This country's too bloody big, and if I find another beach, I don't think I'd be able to travel to it, especially with what's going on at the moment.
Right. Well, did the council ever give you
Real pain
permission?
in the ass.
Did the council
No, I
ever
never
give
got
you
permission purely because of birds. There's like endangered birds nesting on the beach. People are allowed to drive 4-wheel drives down to a certain point, but not past that. Obviously, there are people that do it. There are people that ignore the rules, but I've got to be there a bit too long with too much equipment to try and sneakily do it.
Isn't Australia where you had that island where they were like a factory was butchering penguins to make oil? Now we're worried about a few birds on the beach. What happened?
Yeah, all sorts of contradictory shit goes on everywhere, mate.
Right. Huh.
The penguin thing was payback for the war they lost to the emus.
The emu war, yeah. You guys had some weird shit happen down there, I tell you what.
That's what happens, Brandon. When Trump got voted out, we lost our right to slaughter penguins. The world is going to hell in a handbasket.
Oh, okay. All right.
It's life on the outer plane, guys. Life on the outer plane. Get crazy out here.
Hey, don't do that, please. No, beat it.
Oh, your mic's open, Jeremy.
Oh, all right.
Can I why does it have to be 10 miles? Was that a specific distance that you calculated it had to be?
10 kilometres.
10 kilometres.
Yeah, well, look, anything less than 10 kilometres, and the forces do just get to a point where you really have to wonder if there's any point trying to do it. 10 kilometres is still within reason of doing it logistically. And, at the 2-metre hump in the middle, there's enough to actually generate some force. So that's why it was chosen.
Right, okay, cool. Thanks.
The distances and stuff. There's some very precise distances in there. So, I mean, if Brandon had the diagrams, the best thing he's ever heard, but he lost the thing. It's like NASA going to the moon, losing the technology here. Come on,
let's
bro.
let's say I get some fishing wire, right? And I go a mile out and I mount this 4 inches off the ground, and I've already verified the area that I'm at, or like I'm at, let's say I'm on a beach. Okay. I know where the water level is. I'm 4 inches off the ground on each side. So the expected drop would be 8 inches per mile, right? Now, if I could tension that wire, which I don't think should be that hard because it's very low weight, right? I could tension that wire and just see if it's obstructed in the middle. You know?
You can, but it's not about the obstruction because you're trying to tension it.
The Earth
right,
would have to hump. It'd
ideally
have to
trying
curve.
to get it as straight as you can. Yeah,
Yeah.
but you're suggesting to pull this tight and trying to get it as straight as you can. Is that right?
Well, you know, without breaking it, yeah, get as straight as I can.
Yeah, but that's the opposite of what my idea suggests because obviously
I know.
you've got
I'm
sag.
asking about something else.
Yeah, sure, no worries. Yeah, well, look, go for it and report back. Show us how close the Earth gets to your string in the middle. As
Because
opposed to at the ends.
at the very least, it should be, you know, being pushed up 4 inches in the middle.
Yeah, but the problem then comes down to your calculation. How well have you calculated the sag? Right? How flat was that piece of terrain?
You know, it doesn't even matter if it sags, because if it's 4 inches off the ground on each side, it should be pushed up 4 inches. So even if it was sagging down or close to the ground.
No, your 4 inches per mile is from one end to the other and it's dropping away. If you're talking about from a midpoint out each way, you're only talking half of that on each side.
Okay.
Right, so it's only half of that. So if you're at point A, if you're standing at point A and out to point B is a mile away, then you've got your 4 inches.
Okay, sure.
Middle,
So
going left and right half a mile each. That's right.
So you're saying I'd need 2. Okay, so 2 miles. I tension the string, then it would be up 8 inches in the middle. That's right.
4.
No, what 4 if it were 1 mile? Because that would be half.
Well, no, but you're in a midpoint. You're at the midpoint. You're not at point A or point B. You're at point C.
Right. It would be half. It would be 4 if it were 1 mile.
No, the Sagittarius is 1/4 of the drop of the curve.
Oh, there you go, a quarter, so even less. There you go.
So even less. Okay.
Yeah, so 1 mile would be 2-inch Sagittarius.
Oh,
well, that's not good enough. That's too small.
It's too small, yeah. That's the problem with all these things. It's like it's too small. It's the tolerance is too tight. It's ridiculous.
By making it longer. And you think by making it longer, you're making it easier to somehow feel the tension in the middle?
I would think
so.
Yes,
it comes down to
Yeah.
So to get what
Why-
I'd need,
why?
I'd have to go 4 miles or so to get a substantial amount of hump, so to speak.
Well, for what you want, you have to go. Yeah, I reckon at least 4. But that's the sag is going to just override the clearance then.
Right.
That's why I went the other way. That's why I went for tension against the curve. All right, that's exactly why I flipped it.
Yeah, line sag is
Pull down into
ridiculous.
the curve. Anyway.
Remember this idea that we had to create a 10-mile long floating PVC pipe on the waterway and push the center down the amount of the Sagittarius?
That idea was ridiculous.
I think this was Brian's. Shout out, Brian. Yeah, this would never work.
No, but I suggested to make a 2-mile long pipe that is level, not straight, but level. That's easy. Fill it with hydrogen or helium, and then create as much as vacuum as you can and see if you can see one side to the other.
Like, so recreate LIGO basically almost?
No, it's level. Minimize refraction as much as you can. If you put hydrogen in it,
Why don't we build it in a chord horizontal?
We have to use the same. We have to use the same.
because level is easy to make.
So you're talking
Why don't
equal
we make-
elevation.
Needs to be at the equal elevation above water or water level or whatever you want, right? From certain elevation. That's easy to do.
So you mean you curve it?
We will see. We will reduce refraction. We'll put hydrogen, which is almost eliminating any refraction. Then we'll pull vacuum as much as we can, reduces even more, and see if we can see from one side to the other.
You want to have a 2 mile long tube filled with hydrogen.
Yeah.
How much is this costing us there?
I don't know how much hydrogen is it. Say it's 1 inch pipe, 2 inch pipe. How much hydrogen you need for 2 miles?
Don't you run into that thing that you can't see to the end of the hallway? How you gonna see 2 miles in a pipe?
Right.
Yeah. If you had a 2 mile long, hallway though, and you had a zoom camera, hold on a second, Shike. If you had a 2 mile long hallway and you had a zoom camera, I'm guessing, if you zoomed in, if you had it level and everything, you'd zoom in and it'd be at the middle of the hallway, no?
What? You put the flashlight in the end of it. You can see. You see if you can see it or not. If you can see the flashlight from 2 miles without the pipe, you should see it inside the pipe.
Hey, White's word. Are you taking into account the exact length of this cord?
No, the length doesn't really have much to do with it other than when we start tension and then it stretches a bit, just accounting for the length that is stretched and accounting for the weight of that. That's all.
Well, if you're going to do 10 kilometers, I would suspect that any amount of curvature would require an increased length. So I would definitely account for that if you could.
No, the difference between a chord and an arc length is next to nothing.
Yeah, this surprised us.
Over 10. Yeah.
I have it in this presentation actually, Jeremy. It's fucking for 10 miles, 1/8 of an inch. Wrap your head around that.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Actually,
I know.
That's the math, bro. That's the math
any...
you don't understand. Just like the math with those with the things that we're gonna bend earlier. Just like this math, you don't know what math is, bro.
Wow. Anyways, yeah. So it's. I mean, just look at a bow and arrow. There's a difference between straight and the bow, and I highly doubt it's 0.8 of an inch.
No, we confirmed this math. I did it myself. We had 2 or 3 other people do it. It's ridiculously small, the difference between a chord and an arc for something the size that Earth is supposed to be.
What's the word for it? It does seem counterintuitive or something at first when you first hear it about how small it is, the 1/8 of an inch thing or whatever over 10 kilometers. But I mean, that's just what it is.
Oh, it seems completely wrong. It just sounds ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean it's a huge circle though, so with the radius they gave us, so
yeah, it's fucking giant. That's why it's so hard to. Well, the reason it's so hard to measure curve is because there is none. But that's the reason. That's why it's so hard to prove there isn't curve, because it's so slight. It's almost as Rumpus says, the Earth is very, very flat.
Extremely flat, I think he used. I can't remember. We'll have to get that clip though. That was a good clip.
I got it.
The Earth is very flat.
Very flat.
Very.
Yeah, so we had a discussion in one of Geo's live streams on this, and one of the ballers we were talking about what the difference between air flight miles and land miles were across the United States, and the guy crunched the numbers, and it was just a 30-mile difference to fly that far, as opposed to driving. It would have been just 30 miles, which is really insignificant.
That's why when they're always bringing up, well, you can attach these cities together, and it's like the margin of error is so small on something like that, right? I guess it increases if you're going thousands of miles, but
Anyways, yeah, Riggs. The chord and arc length
Just
not a
don't.
big difference until you start going like what do you got to do like 100 miles or something, Brandon, before it gets to like a few feet.
yeah, you got to go really far before it amounts to anything.
So we went over a lot of this shit too. It's too bad you missed the first when Brandon first took over the show, Riggs. We went over shit like this for like 2 months. I don't know, a month at least, right? 2 weeks.
Yeah, we were racking our brains for months trying to figure out how to fucking falsify one model or the other with a physical measurement.
Well, I showed you an easy way. Simple picture. You can't explain it on flat Earth. Easily explain on the globe.
Physical.
Yeah, unless I'm missing a detail, 0.8 inch is not accurate for 10 kilometers. That's all I'm trying to say.
Do the math, man.
Let's see.
Yeah, show us the math. Let's see the math you did.
Yeah,
Math
no,
guy.
I'm saying
I'll
it.
show you. I'll show you the math as soon as you learn how to do it.
As soon as you show it to me, I'll bring it to my math guys, and we'll see if it's right.
Read a book.
I did do it, Riggs. I did the calculation myself. It's not that hard of a calculation. You just got to figure out how long an arc is for 10 miles versus the fucking what is it called?
No. Oh, no.
What's it called when it goes straight through?
Chord.
A chord for that same arc. But yeah, it's ridiculously small.
Chike, we're just waiting for Ranty to go up Winter Hill and show us all that you were right.
Yeah, I am waiting too. What the hell?
He wants his prediction. He was in here tonight bugging me for the prediction.
You know, he went on this.
Ranty was here?
Not in here. No. In YouTube chat.
Actually, Ruhif. I haven't seen Ranty, but Ruhif. But Ranty did go on this podcast. Oh, I think it was around September 20th, maybe. And he said that he was going to go out and do the observation on the 28th. And I got all excited when I saw he was on the podcast because I thought he was going to report back of what he did. But
which year? Which year are we talking?
a few weeks ago.
Look, I know it's not easy because you can't probably see what you want to see every day. It's not going to happen.
Well, and that guy that took that photo that you like, he was using what, a 300 milliliter lens with a 2 times multiplier?
600 and 1.53 digital zoom.
Yeah, so Bev's saying you probably won't even be able to see Blackpool Tower, let alone the mountains that are 90 miles away.
No one cares about the mountains, only the tower. But there is a video on Ruif channel that shows it with the P900. It's not a problem.
No, we won it through an auto level. That was the whole point.
Right. Bev was there. He claimed the viewing condition weren't right, but he didn't show the viewing condition in the direction of where we want to see. He looked back to the antenna. So we don't know. Maybe he did observe the drop. He just didn't want to say.
No. He's the first human in history to see the curvature. Is that what you're trying to say?
He might have. He was there. A few days after Ruhi posted this challenge, he was there. He posted picture being there, but not picture in the direction of the tower, but picture looking back.
Yeah, we heard you like
30 seconds ago? Not to cut you off,
No,
but
he
you were
asked.
repeating
He
yourself.
asked. Yes.
So I want to correct someone, whoever said it. Soundly, to me, is the first person who said with 20/20 vision. In New Orleans, you can see the curvature of the earth next to the bridge, but you have to have 20/20 vision. You don't need any other optics. You can see it with your eyes. And if you want to see it, just come down there and he'll show you, but you have to have 20/20 vision.
I'm sure not every single day.
Why is that, Chucky?
Because you can't see the whole bridge every single day, can you?
Why is that? Why is that?
Atmospheric conditions.
What's the atmosphere doing? What's the atmosphere doing? Is it obstructing the light?
Yeah, sometimes.
So sometimes you can't see it at all. Sometimes it's bigger than it appears. Sometimes it's smaller. Sometimes it's in different
Not
positions.
bigger, not smaller. You
Sometimes
just
it's a
can't see
different
far
shape.
enough.
Sometimes it's different
Yeah.
shapes, right?
Yeah, you just can't see far enough.
No, I'm talking about when you can see it. You know, you have already
When you
admitted.
can't see it, you probably see
You're
it's
cutting me
curved.
off every time, brother. I don't know if there's a lag. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. So maybe take a few seconds. Maybe we have a lag. But the days that we can see the bridge, the atmosphere also distorts it in many other different ways, such as shape and size. Correct, Chaiki?
Depends how low you are. Okay. I'm sure he's not going to show you the curve from 1 foot above the ground, not 6 also.
So not just atmospheric conditions, but viewer elevation is a factor too, right?
To see the curve, of course.
Well, to see the actual physical curve or the atmosphere creating an apparent curve?
No, the actual physical curve.
Where's that ever been seen? How
I
high
don't know.
again do you have to go?
What
Okay,
floor
go ahead.
was it? What floor was it? I don't know.
So now we can see actual physical curve at 15 stories?
I mean,
I guess if you have 20/20 vision.
You guess. End of story. Chaiki,
last
you're a
time I
fool.
heard, last time I heard, they were saying that you had to get, higher than an airplane. You couldn't see it from an airplane. Wasn't Neil deGrasse Tyson saying you couldn't see it from an airplane? Now you're saying we can see it from 15 stories?
No, different curvature. You
Different
see the curvature of
Oh,
the bridge,
different curvature.
not
Which-
right to left, not right to left curvature, but curvature from you and forward. And
Well, I often
What's the
sit in the
difference?
airplane in the front and look out forward, not left to right. I'm looking forward. I don't see Earth curve or bridges bending. Only when I get at
You
a
have no
certain
reference.
angle. You're cutting me off again. There's that
We
lag.
have no reference.
Is your internet
Sophia.
okay, Chaiki?
Yes,
Maybe
He's on
check your
AOL.
signal.
You got 56K.
You got
modems.
AOL?
No, I
Update.
upgraded to 600K. Actually.
Does your internet go when you connect? Because you have a lot of lag. You're interrupting a lot. So only when you get to I call it the soundly angle. Notice every time he takes a photo of that atmospheric condition and viewer height that you so much loved a while ago, at that certain angle of a parallel structure that it appears to curve. Maybe it's an optical effect. What do you think, Chaiki?
No, it's not an optical effect.
Okay, what if I told you if you just change the angle a little bit, that optical effect goes away?
No, it won't.
Do you know how to create an optical illusion, Chaiki? You know how magicians do it? Guess what they use? I'll give you one guess. Angles.
No, I don't think so.
You don't think? You don't get?
What happened? He cut out?
Yeah, somebody cut out.
Okay, I thought I lost my audio. Hey, Chaiki, I wanted to laugh at that one picture where you marked the eye level. I'm not sure I have it though. Oh, here it is. I was going to ask you for it again, but I found it. Here we go.
Did you say
Tubs. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, we got a resident eye level expert. What's up, Chad?
What's going on?
Well, this picture right here. Can you tell us about this, Chikey? I think this red line is actually lower than the real eye level, right? This eye level up here, Chike?
Yeah, probably.
Probably. Yeah. See how I had to add extra on top of the picture? See that? That's not even part of the picture, Chike.
Yeah,
Did you
I
realize
always
that?
tell you that eye level is above the picture, is outside the frame.
Okay. This is why we need the auto level picture, right?
100%.
Okay. And then there's this one. This is one of my favorites. The hills are alive with the sound of bullshit.
Chuck, you don't really believe that the eye level is going to be up at that point, do you?
Absolutely. We already calculated 7.5, about 7.5 milliradians.
See this mountain right here? Ruhif thinks that this mountain is buried behind a curve that we don't see back here. This mountain right here. That's just the tip of the mountain in Ruhif's imagination. And it goes down to the bottom of this red line right here. So it'd be like this. It's all hidden behind unseen earth curve. That's one of my favorite right there. I mean, this is about the flattest fucking picture I've ever seen in my life. This is fucking flat. There's not a curve in this goddamn picture.
We could quote we could quote Rumpus. We could quote Neil deGrasse. That stuff is flat.
That stuff is definitely flat. That's some flat fucking water right there.
Over this distance with the wide angle, wouldn't you see left to right curvature more than you would see? Because the horizon would be closer, right? You would have obstruction closer than you would the left or right would show more evident, like in a picture like this.
You would think so. Yeah, you would think it'd be pretty obvious. I mean, this is what, 100 and some odd miles, if I remember correctly.
So, I mean, how far is it across? You're saying it's 100 and something miles across?
To that mountain right there. Yeah, that supposedly buried behind Earth Curve Mountain. Yeah.
No, left to right. How far is it?
I don't
shoreline.
know. I think he did the calculation. I never measured that. I mean, it's gotta be a long fucking way, right?
Yeah, it sure seems those mountains are pretty big, but like even 24 miles is what, 280 feet?
24 times 24 times 0.66. Sounds about right.
What it did is take the known distance between two peaks, measure it in pixels, and then translate the pixel size of the mountain. What should be the pixel size of the mountain?
You know what? When I do something that I get an idea, oh, this is how I should do something, and then like what I did turns out something completely retarded, and I look at the result of what I've done, and I go, "That's fucking retarded. Why? That's wrong. I did this the wrong way."
Let's think about it. If you a certain distance from two objects that you know are 100 meters apart, so you know that from this distance that you are for them, this is the angle that is created between two objects that are 100 meters apart, right? You know this for fact because you know the distance. Doesn't matter how far away you are. You know the distance between them. Therefore, whatever angle you got, that's the angle for 100 meters. Now, if you know something is 700 meters, all you need to do is multiply this angle by 7. And you know what angle should this object be.
You know, it's a great theory, Chikey, and it all sounds like it should make sense, and maybe on paper it does. But then you end up with something completely retarded, as I've said previously, like this, where you think that there is a mountain hidden behind a curve that you don't see, which is just clearly a dumb thing to think, especially when you can look at the picture. If you have eyes, if you're blind, I guess I can see how you could still buy that. But if you have eyes and you can see,
the picture is 2D. I can't tell anything. I need to know what I'm looking at, right? If I know this mountain should be this high and it's only that high, I know something is going on here.
I think there's some assumption or something's wrong. I mean, we got this situation right here, right? Clearly, that's not right.
Clearly
If I understand what Ruhit did, was he took the azimuth from the photographer's position to 2 of those peaks, and then that gave him an angle, and then he counted the pixels in that angle, and then that's what he used to calculate the angular size of the mountain.
No, you know the distance between those 2 peaks in that angle, right? You know, from this peak to this peak is, let's say, 1 kilometer.
Right. So as long as the things that you're trying to calculate the size for are that exact distance, fine, I'll give you that. You could work it. But if anything's closer or farther away, how can you try to judge the size of it using that same formula?
I think he chose 2 peaks that are about the same distance. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Here's my point, guys. The math might check out, right? He did this, and then he makes this assumption that it's going to be the same way, vertical as it is horizontal. But
why not?
You don't look at this and think that this much of the mountain is hidden behind something you don't see here, do you?
Yes, I do.
Oh, okay. I guess that's the difference between me and you. I don't see any evidence for what you're saying.
It's not exactly like this, because the mountain, it's a ridge, right? It's a chain of mountains. It's not like we slice the earth and see this mountain, how tall it is. But all this land that you see amounts to this height.
Hmm. Do you see any curvature in this picture?
Yes, because the land doesn't rise up as it should.
No, you assume there must be curvature based on what you have just said.
The
but
land
you don't
always
see any
appears to
curve.
rise up. When you go stand at the beach, the land always appears to rise up. What are you talking about?
Not in this picture. The land should rise up much more than it does.
Where's level in the picture, Chike? Why don't you draw a line for us?
From the shore, what we think is the shore, to the peak of the mountain, there's not enough height to account for all the mountain height.
So does stuff in your vision and in photographs get compressed when it's further away? I mean, doesn't perspective make everything kind of shrink?
No, if it's vertical, no, if it's vertical.
Well, it sounds like you're saying that it should rise up higher, but if the ground is below your feet, would you expect it to rise perfectly toward the level of the eyes or to the level that you're expecting? Wouldn't you expect it to drop somewhat, visually in the camera or whatever? Wouldn't you expect that?
I would.
And since you can't see the level line, how do you know that you're at level? You just be pointing the camera and assuming that it has a level line within it, but unless you can actually see the level line in the camera, you can't even be assured that you have a level line, can you?
No,
To
we know
determine
that
what's above or below whatever.
we know the height of the observer in this picture, and the height of the mountain that we're looking at. We know those two.
So we're just
And
gonna assume a level line without seeing it?
no, not assuming level line. We know what the height of the mountain in front of us is. I think it's higher than us by some. No, not sure.
You just said you know what the height is.
You'd have to see the level line to be assured that anything's level in the camera. If you can't see the level line, you don't know where it is. You just be assuming that the camera is pointing at it somewhere in the picture.
Why do you care about the level line now?
You're going to
Care
use the
about
level line to
the
determine
size
what's
of the
going above or
mountain.
below anything.
The size of the mountain above the sea level as we expect it to be.
Where's your level line? Point to it.
I don't know. There is no level line in this.
The level line's disappeared. So you can't tell what went above or below anything to tell whether something's level or curving away on the earth.
What do you mean? We don't care. We don't have level line. The guy took a picture. He didn't care about no level.
You're going to need a level line to determine whether or not something's going above or below level, though, for the curvature of the Earth problem, though. Otherwise, you'd just be assuming that the camera is pointing at it somewhere. And that's that.
Once plenty go to winter here, you know.
And with so much compression and perspective, merging and converging and diffraction limit and refraction, and it's just way too questionable as to where level is, if anywhere, in the camera photo. It's just too hard to tell what's going on.
Not for me, it isn't.
Can I say something on this?
Yeah.
If you reduce the height of the camera all the way to the ground, you're not going to get the same image. And all you did was reduce your angle of sight. So wouldn't that be the cause of the effect?
You'd think it would be.
Absolutely. Why wouldn't if you go to sea level, go down to sea level, all you'll see is sea. You won't see any of the mountains.
Well, the way that we can tell what's above or below anything, including our level line, is how it ramps up or ramps down toward the level line. And so we need a series of objects like a line of trees or a line of street lamps that are extending from us all the way to the observation of the horizon that either ramp up or ramp down. Short of that, we can't tell what's, ramping up or ramping down or what's above or below anything. So unless those cues are here with the mountain, with a series of things extending toward the horizon that are either ramping up or down, like looking down a hallway, we really can't tell what's above or below anything based off of general observation. We just have to make a bunch of assumptions.
I think you guys I think you misunderstood me. What I was meaning was the result isn't because of the shape of the earth, right? The effect. The cause is the reduction of your angle of sight. It's not the shape of the earth.
What angle? Can you draw me an image?
If you reduce
what are you talking about?
the picture we're looking at, if the camera was to reduce its elevation, right? The closer you get to the ground, the further or the less you're going to see out because you've reduced your angle of sight.
What angle?
So
draw me
the
an
reason,
image and mark the angle you're talking about.
You're talking about the angle up and down from the
I'm just
ground,
trying
up and down from the level of the eyes,
I
basically.
think he's talking about this what's shown in this diagram here.
yeah.
I mean,
Like
so
if you won't get that. Go ahead, Brandon. Go ahead.
If I'm from the vantage point this picture was taken, I'm looking at such a low angle to the mountain.
Draw an angle. Draw
right?
an angle. That's one line.
It's all going to look relatively the same. The front of the mountain's going to look the same as the top of the mountain relative to my position. It's all going to be the same size, like it is in this picture. If I'm here, I'm going to end up with something like this, where the foreground looks fucking gigantic and a lot bigger than the background, right?
Let's be more realistic. Don't put the second observer on the mountain, right? Put it there where the other observer is, and let's see how much difference that makes.
Oh, that won't make as much a difference. Yeah, if I put them like up here,
right?
Yeah.
So and draw the angles that you see from the top of the mountain to the bottom of the mountain. Would there be any difference in those angles? How much?
There'd be some difference. Yeah, clearly not as much difference as this close far view.
Yeah, but I guarantee you that from sea level you wouldn't see any mountains at all.
Yeah, that's because you reduced your angle of sight.
Which angle?
It's not the shape of the
angle up and down off of the surface.
But we don't care about the surface. We care about the mountains.
The mountains are going to be up or down off of the surface as well and have a viewing angle as well.
Yeah, and besides, if you were down on the surface trying to see these mountains 100 miles away, maybe I don't know. Maybe you would see them, but that's a big difference because you're looking through a lot more of the thickest part of the atmosphere. There's a ton of shit happening between you and that.
From sea level, that's not going to happen.
Oh, 250 miles. I appreciate that. Yeah, I forgot. I said it was 100 some. It is that far. You're right.
It's like I don't know, man. It's like my basketball court analogy. You're standing at one end. You can see all the lines of the court. You put your eyeballs to the tips of your toes, and you're not going to see all the lines on the court. The only thing that caused that effect was the reduction of your angle of sight.
Heck, you could see it with a bunch of columns that are lined up and down a hallway.
So if you see, instead of seeing the whole mountain, maybe you just see the mountain peaks. The cause of that effect is the reduction of your angle of sight. And everything's shrinking. Perspective.
Yeah, I get you.
Well, if you look
that's,
down,
that's the actual cause of the effect.
it does appear to be viewing angle. I mean, look at a bunch of columns that are in series in, a building. You look at some of the structural column supports of a building in like a parking lot and look down, from the first one to the last one. They appear to disappear behind one another when they're very much, parallel to one another. So, our viewing angle site-wise would be expected to do the same thing. You could have a bunch of stuff that's at the same elevation, like the left and right side of those pillars, and they're going to disappear, into each other, even though they're quite level, and one is not necessarily above or below the other one. And so all we see are compressed and merged viewing angles where you can't see, the stuff in the distance after a time before it merges into the background or merges into what's seen in the foreground. And that could be the horizon line too, even if it's level. So we're assuming that we're going to see what's above or below the level line, but the columns right there show you parallel lines that appear to merge into each other and disappear. So that's not what we see visually. We have some really questionable visual principles that we're deriving off of perspective that are making us assume it's a ball when it's just not adding up.
Yeah, well said. Before you can claim that what we see is impacted by the curve of the Earth, you first have to establish that there is Earth curve. That's the problem.
Brandon, you just don't understand trigonometry.
No, I know. I know.
Trigonometry is not.
Yeah, but trigonometry is just straight.
Triangles.
Well, the other problem is what we're looking at here is a mirage.
That was one good thing that Rob Skiba did. One of the best things I remember from him was when he took that boat across Lake Michigan.
And saw it the whole time.
Yeah. wonder if I can find that.
Well, the only way to determine visually if something's above or below something is if you have a bunch of similar sized objects in a series extending from you to the horizon. Then you can see if it's ramping up or down. This mountain range, it's cocked to the side. You don't really see a bunch of stuff in series. You can't really tell what's going on with the mountain range. It's just a bunch of assumptions unless you have a bunch of mountain ranges lined up from you to the horizon in series. We can't even be assured of that because the mountain may not even be in that orientation. So we can't even tell what's going on there. And also, you can take a straight line, like a ruler, and the moment you rotate it and kind of make it go off into the distance at an angle, all of a sudden it'll ramp up and down in different ways than it did when you had the ruler, set in your vision left to right, lining up with the horizon. Try it. Line up the ruler with the horizon nice and straight, and then rotate it. All of a sudden, it will ramp up and down in ways that it didn't do before visually. So this vision stuff with the mountain could be the same. You could have a mountain that's, rotated and kind of cocked to the side a little bit. And it may not be a straight on profile the way that we would assume just by looking at this picture. And it could start ramping up and down even from there, even though it was perfectly level and, flat.
I found that video. So here he's got Chicago skyline in the picture. And he took a boat all the way across, straight across, and filmed it the entire time because it was said that it was a mirage. And it stayed in view the entire time. Now, what conclusions you can draw from that, I guess we could discuss. But would that mean that it's not a mirage? I'm just thinking this through here. What would happen if it was a mirage and you kept the camera on it and you went across the lake and kept it in view the whole time? What would the mirage do?
It'd be dancing around and everything, man. It'd be like refracted. That's pretty much mirage.
Yeah. So I guess his whole point was, I've got the camera on it. I go across the lake. It's still in view the whole time. It must be its true position. It's not a mirage. I assume that's the conclusion he drew.
Well, to be sure that it's a mirage, you'd have to get closer to the object. And if the image disappears, perhaps it's a mirage. But if the image is maintained all the way from there to, the city of Chicago or whatever, then it's hard to believe that it's a mirage. It's more like the actual image of the object. But to prove it, you need to get closer to it and show the image disappearing.
Right. Yeah, wouldn't you have to make sure your camera is affixed to the same absolute location where the city skyline is the entire time, and then have it either disappear or remain at that same absolute location as you went across?
Yeah. I think they assume it's a mirage because they're not supposed to be seeing over the curvature of the Earth, but they haven't actually proven it. So
Well,
they
that
still
is
haven't
true.
worked the proof.
That is 100% true. Yeah, they are definitely assuming it. Well, guys, it's 7:55. It's good to be back. I'm going to close out the show. But tomorrow is Friday Night Fights. It was a good discussion tonight. Nice, pretty chilled out. Must have got rid of some of the globe trolls while it's gone. That's pretty cool. I'm sure they'll be back. But thanks for coming tonight, guys. I really appreciate it. Thanks to the panel for stopping in. It was cool hanging out. Be back tomorrow. And I'll come back and I'll probably record the show just in case there's interesting conversation afterwards, just so you know you're recorded. Is there anybody that wanted to say anything before I close out the show? Especially people who didn't get to talk a lot during the show, but anybody, really. No? All good? Okay. Thanks again, guys. Be back. Cool. Well, thank you, everybody. Appreciate you watching the show. Good hanging out. Gadget, thank you very much. Appreciate that. And we will be back tomorrow. See, Negador and Will are arguing about the Polaris challenge. I didn't realize that was Sean in there. I should have known when he asked me about the Polaris challenge. Still don't quite get what the challenge is. I think the real challenge, Sean, is for you to establish your assumptions. You do that, then I'll take it more seriously. But until then, I don't see much of a challenge. Shout out to the people who sent a super chat tonight. Thank you very much. Will Gaston, Earth is Life. I'll check out that Qantas flight. James Richard. That Flat Fellow, I missed that. That Flat Fellow, 99 cents. Thanks, man. Appreciate that sticker there. And James Richard for your continued membership. Thanks very much. We will see you guys tomorrow. Have a good night. Talk to you later.